NBC. Today from Arrowhead Stadium, it's the Los Angeles Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Bud Light, the less filling light beer with the first name and taste. And by AT&T, the more you hear, the better we sound.
A magnificent autumn afternoon, temperature in the high 60s, sunny sky, perfect weather for football. The two unbeaten teams, the only matchup of unbeaten clubs in the NFL this weekend, the Los Angeles Raiders against the Kansas City Chiefs, two men who have met many times before. Lamar Hunt, who was the founder of the old American Football League 25 years ago. Al Davis, the second commissioner of the AFL, of course, the general partner of the Los Angeles Raiders, and they're matched up again today. It's a silver anniversary weekend here in Kansas City, but it's a golden day, and it's golden in another regard. This is their 50th meeting, Merlin Olson.
Dick, no two teams in the league know each other better than these two, and that breeds not only an intense rivalry, but even the young rookies feel that this game is special today.
And the quarterbacks characterize the stature of these two teams. Jim Plunkett, 14-year veteran, 2 Super Bowl championships last 4 years. Todd Blackledge, #1 pick out of Penn State, only his 3rd NFL start, subbing for the injured Bill Kenny.
And there's no question that the quarterbacks are the most important men on the field for their teams. A lot of people watching them, including 4 very hungry sets of eyes. And they belong to the defensive ends, whose job it is to make their life miserable. Still, Bell, Long, and Alzado, all great pass rushers. Both teams have recorded 10 sacks in the first 2 games, and believe me, they're going to try and make life miserable for those quarterbacks.
Well, they weren't actually facing each other eyeball to eyeball when we took those shots, but Still and Bell, with a smile, they've enjoyed their 2-0 start, a bit surprising. Both wins on the road. The only time Kansas City in their history has opened with 2 victories on the road was '69 when they went on to win the Super Bowl championship, and Alzado and Long were in character.
They certainly were. This Raider team, of course, loves to intimidate. Interesting thought for you, Dick. Both of these teams carry the history of that kind of football. And I remember my first opportunity to play these Chiefs. They were an intimidating football team. John Mackovic would like to return to that kind of football here.
Well, across the way, the head coach of the Los Angeles Raiders, certainly underrated by almost any judgment, Tom Flores, and he has made the full circle as well. He's in that silver and black huddle of the Raiders, but he was the #2 quarterback on that Super Bowl championship team. He backed up Lenny Dawson in 1969.
On the other side of the field, John Mackovic. Mackovic came in here to change the fortunes because Kansas City has not played well over the past years. He's put together a very young football team. They're off to a great start this year. And Mackovic said it very simply. He said, "We will find out today how good we are." They will use as a measuring stick the world champion Los Angeles Raiders.
The Raiders come in with wins over Houston and Green Bay, and in fact have allowed only 1 touchdown in the second half of those 2 games. While the Raiders opponents, the Chiefs, have won on the road at Pittsburgh 37-27 and won last week at Riverfront Cincinnati 27-22. Nick Lowry will kick it off, and in the white of the Los Angeles Raiders to return, Doki Williams, and we expect to see Clee Montgomery as the other deep back. Well, they invented this great game of football with this kind of weather in mind. A warm sun and a crisp bite, autumn bite in the air. Lowry, I have to re-tee it up, a light breeze. Fans still filing into Arrowhead Stadium. We expect a crowd of 78,000. Well, it's a silver anniversary weekend, and many of the great names Kansas City history are here, and they want a silver and black feast of the Raiders. We'll find out today how good Kansas City is and whether the Super Bowl champion Raiders can roll on. Lowry gets it underway. Doki Williams. He's out to the 27-28-yard line. Jim Plunkett and the Raiders offense will take the field. Kenny King and the superb, talented, versatile Marcus Allen in the backfield with him. The deep threat, the veteran, 13 years, Cliff Branch on one side, and on the other will be Malcolm Barnwell. The offensive line, Bruce Davis, Charlie Hanna, Jim Romano starts at center for Dave Dalby. Dalby with 175 consecutive games. We expect to see him before the day is through. Don Mospar and Henry Lawrence complete the offensive line. First down at the 28-yard line. Plenty of time to find Christensen, who drops the ball. Todd Christensen, perhaps guilty of running before the ball had arrived. Defensively for the Chiefs, they're young, and they have 3 number 1 picks in that front wall. Still, Moss, and Bell. The linebackers, Charles Jackson, John Zamberlin, Spaney, the veteran tackler, who's been injured, and Calvin Daniels. Deep backs are Lewis and Ross at the corners. Burris and Cherry. Cherry had 7 interceptions last year to lead the club. 2nd and 10, a mix-up, and still has Plunkett for a loss.
We talked about hungry eyes looking at the quarterbacks. 5 quarterback sacks each of the first 2 games, a total of 10. Now they have 11. A chance for you to watch it. A little bit of a mix-up here in a sense that it looked like it was a pass play indeed, but Plunkett appeared to be confused on the play. I don't know what happened. Maybe he expected a back in there. Still said, that's fine with me. I'll record this. That's a baggie. That's not really a sack, Dick.
Baggie indeed. 3rd and 14 at the 24. Plunkett in a crowd hits Barnwell, and I believe he has a first down at the 39-yard line. The tackle made by Kerry Parker from Grambling. He was an All-Pro in the Canadian Football League last year.
We talk about a game of inches. Plunkett was within inches of being sacked. Look at the left side of your screen. Art Still blowing right over the top of Lawrence, and look how close he came. Plunkett doing exactly what he has to do, taking the last seconds. Let's look at the power rush here. Still playing 25 pounds heavier than last year. Literally just threw Henry Lawrence, who's a fine offensive tackle, to the ground.
15 yards on the play. First down at the 39. Marcus Allen, his first attempt, and he runs into Still again. Art Still on 3 consecutive plays. The outstanding Pro Bowler from Kentucky has been superb.
John Makovic told us earlier that Still had played the best game he had seen him play the last week. And if he can continue that pace with the great play of Bell at the other end, that really puts a lot of pressure. And that's a quality front line. Bill Moss has made an instant impact up front. And it's interesting, Dick, because with Moss in there, he's playing against 2 inexperienced players in that Raider line.
2nd and 15, and a flag down as Allen gets a yard at best. Gary Spaney was down low to trip it up, and Calvin Daniels, number 50, indicates holding as the call against the Raiders, and Jim Tunney, the referee, so acknowledges.
Dick, these Los Angeles Raiders have won their first 2 games, but they have not been terribly impressive. They've been slow starting in both those games. That's kind of been the way they've played the last 2 seasons, and Tom Flores talked about that. He said, I said, are you concerned? He said, yes, I'm concerned, but I am not worried. The Raiders apparently playing as well as they have to win. There's the holding call against number 52, Romano. It looks like referee Tunney's microphone may not be working on this particular situation, but the call, as you read his lips, was against the center. And we mentioned that problem. Romano giving away a lot of size to Bill Moss, the fine rookie nose tackle of the Chiefs.
And watch Moss, number 63, at 265 pounds, out of Pittsburgh. 2nd down and 25. Plunkett in trouble, and down he goes. Mike Bell, number 99 from Colorado State.
2nd sack, and you won't hear Moss's name mentioned on that play, but he was critical to making that play possible. By creating pressure in the middle, he forced the double team situation. In fact, there were 2 guards and a center. Watch it here. Moss driving off. Look, he'll get bumped by Hanna here. Mospar looking inside, too. That means that both ends are one-on-one. They're man-to-man in the pass rush, and they're tough to handle one-on-one.
3rd and 32 at the 16. And Marcus Allen gets a yard or 2, and that's all. And the Kansas City Chief defense has this crowd fired up.
We go back inside to look at Moss, who does not do very well on that play as Hanna drives him out. But you see the enthusiasm of that defense, and it's that kind of game. Enthusiastic, exciting. These players are they're going to have that adrenaline pumping today, Dick.
Two top punters in the NFL in the first couple of weeks are featured here today. Raymond Guy kicking now to J.T. Smith, who has turned 4 back for touchdowns in his career, and Jim Arnold off to a great start, the punter for Kansas City. Smith is back at his 40. It takes a Kansas City bounce and will be down at the 42-yard line by James Davis. No score. The Kansas City Chiefs will have the ball at the 42 when we return. Bell and Sherry Street in Wichita, Kansas. She's followed her son Mike and twin brother Mark, their college and professional careers. And here's the offense for Kansas City. Young Todd Blackledge in his second year, #1 pick out of Penn State, the quarterback. He has with him in the backfield Theodis Brown, number 27, and Billy Jackson, 43. The wide receivers, Carlos Carson, 88, Henry Marshall, 89, Willie Scott is the tight end, 81, Kirkenoff, Buddy, Rush, Condon, and Rourke, the offensive line. First down at the 42, no score. First possession, Kansas City. Theodis Brown for about 3 to the 45. Reggie Kinlaw, 62, down at the bottom of the pile. And with him, these defensive teammates, Long, Kinlaw, and Alzado, the front 3, but we'll see a lot of 4 and even 5-man fronts for the Raiders. Adams, Millen, Nelson, and Rod Martin. Rod Martin, the Pro Bowler, All-Pro last year again. Lester Hayes and Mike Haynes, the great pair of corners for the Raiders. Mike Davis and Van McElroy at safety. Anthony Hancock is in at wide receiver now for Kansas City. Good protection. Wide open is Carlos Carson. And Carson has a first down at the Raider 32.
We're going to see a lot of 3 and 4 wide receiver sets in this ball game because the Chiefs have outstanding speed and moves from people like Carlos Carson. Good protection on this play. Chiefs line playing very well in the opening 2 games, starting here, giving their quarterback time to throw the football.
Early scores, the Jets have a 3-0 lead against the Bengals in the first quarter, and Atlanta kicks a field goal against Minnesota. No score here. Chiefs a first down deep in Raider territory. This is Billy Jackson, and he fights for a couple, gets inside the 30 to the 29, and a flag is down. Linesman on the near side.
It appeared that Howie Long, off a little bit early at the left end position, may have been offside. No.
Motion against the Chiefs.
Okay. Let's see if we can see the movement. Long obviously is moving before the play, but apparently was drawn by the action of the offense because it will be marched off against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Illegal motion, first down and 15 at the 36.
That's a test to see if you can read Tony's lips on all those. They'll have to replace that mic so we can get a little better feeling for who the guilty parties are. I think if I were an offensive lineman, I'd appreciate having that mic go out.
Maybe somebody ripped it off.
Maybe so.
At the 36-yard line, Jackson, the only back. Whoops, Blackledge almost goes down. J.T. Smith inside the 30, picks up the 5 yards and a couple more. It'll be second down and 7. J.T. Smith from North Texas State.
One of the injuries, and the Chiefs have a number of people who are nursing injuries, was to their co-starter at tight end, Ed Beckman, and that hurts them. They used a lot of 2 tight end situations in the early going. They're forced today to go to a very inexperienced second tight end, and as a result, we'll probably see more 3 and 4 wide receivers.
Blackledge, as you see, only 1 interception in his first 2 games. Second down 8. On a blitz. And they got to Blackledge enough that his pass was off target, intended for Dave Little, the second tight end, with Beckman hurt. Little from Middle Tennessee, a rookie, in at that spot. Martin was the man blitzing Blackledge.
The Raiders like to put pressure on a quarterback. They feel, and certainly importantly in this situation, as you get a feeling for the enthusiasm here, that's the wave. We saw it first up in Seattle, but they use it effectively here. And this, I think, if things go the way they're hoping, this will be the most enthusiastic and the largest crowd they've had here in almost a decade, Dick.
Out of the shotgun for the first time. And apparently somebody in that Chiefs line moving early.
Well, Howie's saying one of them moved. He's gone in to talk to the official, and you'll notice that
it's long this time.
Yeah, this time they're going to call Howie on it. The Raiders will move those defensive linemen around. Long right on the center in this situation. I see what he's looking at. He jumped to the side. Bob Rush actually moved his head on that play. That's why Howie slapped him. He started to move, caused Rush to lift his head a little bit, but the official said, no, that one's yours.
You see Long moving inside. That shows his tremendous versatility. Not only a fine pass rusher, pressure man on the outside, he's strong enough to go inside in a pass situation, but with a 5 yards down to the 24, it's 3rd and 2, a different call for Blackledge. Nope, still out of the shotgun. Wide open, Stephon Page, and he is to the 7-yard line.
As a defensive lineman, one of the first things you want to find out about a young quarterback is what kind of courage he has. On that play, young Todd Blackledge will get a lot of pressure from 77, Lyle Alzado. Look at him coming in. Todd hangs onto that football right till the last second. Delivers it on target to the receiver, does everything he can, and then Stephon Page does his job.
1st and goal, Kansas City at the 6-yard line. Page's first catch. He had 30 as a free agent rookie last year, 3rd among rookie receivers in the league. Blackledge to Theodis Brown, incomplete. He was covered by 51 Bob Nelson. A touchdown if he could have grasped the football.
This Kansas City offense really tries to use the passing game to control the football, and that's an illustration of it right there. In essence, that's a long handoff to Theodis Brown. Theodis is an excellent receiver as well as a good runner.
Seahawks looking for their 3rd straight win, have a field goal lead against New England. Blackledge is 3 for 5 on this drive, 2nd and goal. Theodis Brown, and a flag is down. And it's from one of the deep judges, which usually indicates a holding by the tight end. The Raiders come out of there saying they have the football, but it is a holding call against Kansas City.
That certainly is bad news. That takes Todd Blackledge and his offense back to where they're going to have to throw the ball, try and get it deep into the end zone, but certainly by no means out of Lowry's range. Lowry, a great kicker, a fine weapon for these Chiefs.
There he is. He has not missed inside the 30 in his entire career, and he's made 25 in a row inside the 40.
In fact, his last miss inside the 40 goes back to the 81 season, so he is really a powerful kicker. Has a 58-yarder to his credit, too.
On a magnificent day here in Kansas City, the Chiefs 2nd and goal from the 16.
4 wide receivers in.
Boy, this is a real spread formation out of the shotgun. Blackledge. And that was a case where number 82, Anthony Hancock, I believe the penalty will be against Hancock, the Kansas City receiver. He was forced into a situation where he was defending so that the pass would not be intercepted.
6 defensive backs on the field, and in that situation, Hancock indeed became the defensive back as he tried to keep number 45, James Davis, from intercepting that football. It's right at the end of the play here. Number 45, James Davis, is the receiver in this situation, and you saw Hancock putting his hands on him before the ball arrived. Another angle of it, a little easier to see, and indeed, the officials right on it. ticket him for the penalty.
So illegal use of the hand, so that's back-to-back penalties against Kansas City. It is now second and goal from the 26-yard line.
We talked about Lowry's range. He may get a chance to exhibit it here if they keep going the wrong direction.
Henry Marshall is to the left. Carson and Page to the right out of the shotgun. This is Theodis Brown, but Rod Martin and Otis McKinney wrapped him up quickly after a short gain at the 23. It'll be third and goal. Rod Martin from the University of Southern California, one of the many great stories on this Raider club, a player that was too light to make the team as a rookie back in '77, was cut. San Francisco had a shot at him. They released him. The Raiders re-signed him. He gained a little weight and now voted the Defensive Player of the Year, Pro Bowl star twice for the Raiders. He goes underneath to Henry Marshall. Oh, look at that. Marshall drive to the 11-yard line. But that'll bring up fourth and goal, and Lowry will settle for the three-point try.
Dick, one of the things that has really impressed me about the early offensive showing of the Kansas City Chiefs is that on 12 of 14 drives inside the 50-yard line, they have gotten points on the board. And the only two times they weren't able to get points on the board were two situations where they came into opponent's territory on a third down play and immediately had to punt the ball.
Again, he's never missed inside the 30, and this is a 29-yard attempt. Jim Arnold, the punter, is the holder this year for Kansas City. And Lowry's string continues. Kansas City has the early lead, 3-0. Arrowhead Stadium, 7 minutes, 11 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Brand new surface, artificial surface here at Arrowhead Stadium, and with that blue sky and this colorful crowd on a grand afternoon, it is a beautiful picture here in Mid-America as Nick Lowry, who has now kicked 12 consecutive field goals, 6 in a row this year, has given the Raiders a deficit to look at, 3-0. And Clee Montgomery near side, Dokie Williams far side to return. Clee Montgomery at the 1. And out of bounds at the 22-yard line. Van Jakes, that's his number, 22, made the tackle. Jim Plunkett comes in. The Raiders have had their trouble scoring early in their first two games.
Only 7 of 52 points in the first half, and you notice how their offense too has been much more impressive in the final quarter. Look at what they've done defensively. Those 3 points, by the way, coming in this game, 14 and 7, second and fourth quarters. That indicates a well-prepared defense, both in adjustments before the game and at halftime.
Marcus Allen, number 99 Mike Bell, and 51 Charles Jackson collaborating on the stop, and Allen hasn't had a chance to get out of his own backfield before defensive contact.
Conversations on the sideline as Blackledge, Page, and Marshall. He's sitting. I don't blame him. He's going to get as close as he can to those wide receivers, and that's the kind of thing you have to have, that unspoken communication with those guys.
Jets and Bengals are tied at 3. Allen has carried 3 times for a -5 yards so far. Frank Hawkins now in the backfield with him. Allen again. And what an effort by Allen. I believe every member of the Kansas City defense had a piece of Allen on that run. He stripped away from 5 on this side, and it took the other 6 to get him on the other side of the field. It'll be 3rd down and 6 right now from Kansas City. We go to New York.
All right, Dick Enberg in Foxborough, Seattle has scored, and Dave Craig continues to look impressive. A touchdown pass here to Darrell Turner. The extra point, though, by Norm Johnson was no good. So it's 9-0. The Seahawks lead it in the first quarter.
All right, Bill, and here in Kansas City, the Chiefs with a 3-0 lead. Plunkett and the Raiders on 3rd and 6. Plunkett under pressure, had to throw off balance, and the Chiefs will get the ball, and the fans give the defense a standing ovation.
Apparent in the early going that the emotional level of the Chiefs much higher than that of the Raiders. Traditionally a low-key team, but they better turn up the juice a little bit.
Raymond Guy kicking to J.T. Smith, a 10-man front for the Chiefs. Smith back at his 35. He's looking into the sun. What a kick by Guy. But he'll lose some of the distance as he angled it too sharply toward the sidelines. And where had that one been boomed straight downfield, he would have had tremendous distance. When they mark it on the angle, it'll be to the 34 of Kansas City, a 40-yard punt. And with it comes a timeout, 5 minutes and 25 seconds remaining. First quarter at Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City. Chiefs lead by a field goal. One of the great stadiums in this country. In fact, it was after this that the Giants Stadium was modeled. And it's so nice to see it jammed. Some 78,000 expected here today. Carlos Carson, 5'11", 5-year man from LSU. He caught 80 passes last year and led the AFC in yardage receiving. He's wide to the right. First down at the 34. Blackledge, good protection. And almost intercepted by Van McElroy on the rebound. Kansas City leads 3-0. Now an update. New York.
All right, the Meadowlands, a fine kick return by Kirk Springs. This is a 74-yard return. It came after an excellent Jet goal line stand forced a Cincinnati field goal. This one set up a Pat Leahy field goal of 39 yards. It is 6-3, Jets over Cincinnati.
Yeah, thus far, all the early reports featuring field goals in Kansas City on a 28-yard chip shot by Nick Lowry. Leads at 3-0 here. 2nd and 10 Chiefs at their 34 against the Super Bowl champion Raiders. Otis Brown, and he's back to the line of scrimmage and maybe a yard before Rod Martin and company can trip him up.
Jets employing 5 defensive backs quite regularly now.
Seattle missing an extra point, leading New England 9-0.
I say Jets.
Bears.
Well, I don't know where they are, but I bet they are today. In this situation, it's the Raiders. Just listening to that update.
Bears trying to make it 3-0 and getting out of the gate to the delight of the Soldier Field faithful. Looking for their 3rd straight win. Stephon Page and a first down at the Raider 49. 17 yards for Page.
And again, Todd Blackledge had to watch that one from the ground as Greg Townsend dusted him, but not until he had thrown a perfect pass. You see the timing pattern there. Laid right out in front of the receiver, Stephon Page, who's made a couple of fine grabs in the early going here.
Well, Page, as we said last year, the rookie receivers, Willie Gall to the Bears and Jeff Chadwick of the Lions had 40, and Page, a free agent out of Fresno State, had 30 to rank 3rd in the league as the rookies would fare. Billy Jackson, a fumble, and the Raiders have it at the 46-yard line. They'll mark it at the 45. Out of the pile, Van McElroy.
Otis Brown came into this game having trouble with a hamstring. It may be bothering his running today, and it also is bothering his blocking. As that's Billy Jackson right there taking inside. Rod Martin just destroying him on that play. and knocking that ball loose with a powerful tackle.
So Billy Jackson coughs it up. The Raiders have the ball at their 46, trailing by 3. The American League Baseball West has the most exciting. Bill Kinney, those 4,000-plus yards made him only the 5th quarterback in NFL history to throw for 4,000-plus in a single season. But in the final preseason game this year, he fractured the thumb on his right hand. There you see it, well protected, and he'll probably be out for at least another month.
He said he'd done that same thing twice in college. This is the 3rd time he's had that injury.
Jim Plunkett, with his best field position, hits Christensen, and he's into Kansas City territory to the 46-yard line before Charles Jackson can make the tackle, along with Gary Spaney. Plunkett, first time now in Kansas City. It's half of the field at the 46.
Interesting how his career has intertwined with this Kansas City team. It was here that Pastorini broke a leg that put Plunkett into the lineup in 1980, eventually put him in the Super Bowl as the MVP that year.
Marcus Allen. Mike Bell with a vicious hit. Bell at 250 from that defensive right side. Where's 99? He's built a lot like Gastineau. Not quite as big, but he carries himself in the same manner.
He's not as big as Gastineau, but he has great quickness. It almost looks like they speed up the film. Look how he recovers his balance. Cut by the offensive tackle there. Davis, he came right over the top and got a piece of that tackle. He has gained a lot of respect from offensive linemen around the league.
3rd down and a yard just inside the 45. That's Derek Jensen in motion. Marcus Allen with a first down as he slams to the 41.
Marcus Allen on the carry.
It's interesting how you can control the quality receivers and the quality runners for a short period of time. Marcus's stats here kind of ugly, matter of fact, Dick. But did you see him shift gears on that last play? Just like he popped it into overdrive as he shot through that line. And Marcus is, for a defense, is a frightening adversary.
Allen has carried 6 times today for a plus 2 yards. Plunkett to Allen, incomplete. And Plunkett had to throw that one from down in the well. He had nothing but big sequoias all around him.
Dick, let's go back and talk about, we said that Plunkett's career is really intertwined with these Chiefs, not only because they play so often, but we mentioned the replacing of Pastorini, which led him on in 81. It was later against these Chiefs that a very bad showing prompted him to come out of the lineup. That's when Wilson went in, and then later Wilson tore his shoulder up, injured himself, allowing Plunkett to come back into the lineup and again take his team into the Super Bowl in their last Super Bowl victory.
All 3 games, those injuries resulting in Raider Kansas City games. A full blitz is on. Somebody should be open. It's Christensen. Albert Lewis runs him out of bounds at the 35-yard line, short of a first down. They had 9 men attacking the quarterback.
They were all coming, and Plunkett doing a good job of maintaining his cool. Has enough time to find Todd Christensen, who also had read the blitz, shortened his pattern, headed to the outside. They make the connection. It'll be 3rd and about, what's that, 4 yards to go, Dick?
3rd and a short 4. Seattle leading New England 9-0 in the second quarter. Here it's 3-0 Kansas City. 2 minutes and 18 seconds left in the first period. Plunkett deep downfield, intercepted. Deron Cherry carries to the 26-yard line with his 2nd interception of the year. So the Raiders' drive is stopped on a Deron Cherry interception. With 2:07 left in the first period, the Chiefs still lead 3-0. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs 2-0 out of the gate here in '84, and yet have the worst record in terms of allowing yards in the NFL, averaging 432 allowed, far behind Chicago, but
they have been able to take the ball away, and they've been able to deny their opponents scoring opportunities, and that has been the key to their success so far during this season defensively.
no, make it Mike Davis who made the hit. And had it not been for that shoestring stop, Brown had a lot of open area ahead.
Todd Blackledge looks like he wants to hand this ball to Theodis. Look at him. Steps up. He pulls it down. He just does a little shot put job. And here's that tackle coming up, Dick. You're absolutely right. Excellent shoestring tackle by Mike Davis. And that's a little bit frightening because when you've got a hamstring injury and you get those legs pulled back that way, sometimes that'll stretch that ham.
Cincinnati leading the Jets 9-6 in the second quarter. That was a first down play for the Chiefs. Under a blitz, and Blackledge unloading it. There wasn't anybody in that area, but you can't blame him. He was just going to unload as Howie Long and Rod Martin were pressuring him to the ground.
Last year, John Mackovic, because of Kenny's performance, able to bring young Todd Blackledge along very comfortably and very slowly, allow him to mature at his own pace, giving him a little bit of information at a time. The result is that he has matured very well, and that was a sign of it right there. Not taking the sack, unloading the football, but unloading it into a safe area.
Second down and 10. Theodis Brown, and not much there. Flag down.
Dick, we mentioned the injury to Ed Beckman, the second tight end. And that has also created another problem for John Mackovic, who used those tight ends to shuttle into plays. He's now doing that with the 4 wide receivers.
The Raiders, with little gain on the play, we'll see whether they take the 10 yards or the down. It will be about 3rd and 9. No, they'll take the 10, which will give us a chance. You're talking about Todd Blackledge and how he's matured, having a chance to study behind Bill Kenny. Another thing during the week, I know most of you saw it, and it's the kind of story you love to report. When Kurt Warner, the teammate of Todd Blackledge at Penn State, went into the hospital for knee surgery up in Seattle, Blackledge, on his one day off here in Kansas City, flew to Seattle to see his good friend Warner, and he was the first one to say hello to Kurt when he came out of the anesthesia, and then hustled back here for his practice the next day. That kind of relationship, that collegiate friend. And Blackledge wanted to know that he cared. Good protection. Brown. Well read by the Raider defense. And it was 56 Jeff Barnes playing in Ted Hendricks' outside linebacker spot, who made the tackle for a 1-yard loss.
Excellent play, too, by number 36, Mike Davis, who just playing extremely good football. He read that expertly. He read the play and then was able to close inside of the blockers coming out, keep that play inside so that Barnes was able to make the tackle.
3rd down and 21. John Mackovic, 40-year-old head coach. His Chiefs lead 3-0, and that's what they're trying to become today, 3-0. Good protection down the middle. Right through the hands of Carlos Carson. He was in a crowd of 5 white shirts, but the ball was there.
I think that Rod Martin had tipped that football, Dick. It looked like he was able to get his fingers on it and deflect it slightly. You'll see in the replay, Martin doing a good job of coming back, getting a deep drop. He's in the right center of your picture. Let's see if he does get his hand on it right here. Well, kind of hard to tell. It goes over his... We don't see him. We lost him in the picture, but I believe he touched that ball.
Jim Arnold scuffs the punt, and it'll go out of bounds around the 40 of the Raiders. So there's a break for Los Angeles, as Arnold, who has been kicking beautifully, averaging 47.5 yards a punt, gets only 34 on that one.
That certainly will hurt his average, not only with an exceptional average, 4 punts over 50 yards, and to give you a feeling for the strength of his leg, during the last season, he had 4 punts over 60 yards, Dick. But that was the kind of problem he had during the '83 season when he was very inconsistent. That'll tear your average down in a hurry.
And the fans, a rumble in the fans, they were down on Arnold last year as a 5th-round draft pick out of Vanderbilt. Marcus Allen. Dragged down by 67, Art Still, who continues to have a big game defensively. That is the end of the first quarter here at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. And this large crowd in Missouri happy with a scoreboard that features the Chiefs up by a field goal. And welcome back to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, where the Chiefs lead the Raiders 3-0 and outgaining the Super Bowl champions 96 yards to 26. Even possession in that first quarter.
Most of those yardage, all but 6, coming via the passing game. Here you see Rod Umenick, the offensive line coach, diagramming some of the offensive patterns. They're trying to fit into the defenses of the Raiders, who mix things up for you. They move those linemen around. They give you a lot of fits in there. That was Bob Rush, center, who's done a good job for the Chiefs, talking to him in that situation.
You saw the Bears another field goal to lead 6-0. Here it's 3-0 Kansas City. Plunkett, good field position. There's Cliff Branch. He fumbles and recovers his own fumble. So Branch alert enough to come up with the ball, and now they say incomplete. He did not have possession. Kevin Ross, 31 from Temple, 7th-round draft pick, made the hit.
Branch, a speed receiver, but his speed earns him extra space. Look how the defender is not even in your picture. They respect Branch's speed so much that they give him that extra room. You finally see the tackle coming up there. That's Ross, the rookie corner, and he's seen enough film of Branch flying by people to know he's got to give the speedster room.
Certainly seemed he had possession long enough for a catch.
The officials go out of their way not to give the fumble in that situation, Dick.
Plunkett dumps it off to Frank Hawkins, and Hawkins is down short of a first down at the 49, and also down is a flag. We'll check on that penalty. It's holding against the Raiders. Right now, let's go to New York.
All right, Dick and Merlin, the Cincinnati Bengals have started slowly this year without a touchdown in the first quarter, but they have one now in the Meadowlands. Ken Anderson to James Brooks. There was a bad snap, though, on the extra point. So the score is 9-6. The Bengals lead the Jets.
Cincinnati hungry for that first win. They discussed the penalty options here. It will either be 4th and about 3 or 3rd and 17. And with that in mind, the Chiefs want the ball and decline the penalty. J.T. Smith, the return man, is on the field. And Raymond Guy and the punting team on for Los Angeles.
I think the only time you take that penalty, Dick, is if it was so close that you'd be concerned about a team going for it on 4th down.
J.T. Smith and Deron Cherry.
Deron Cherry has joined J.T. Smith deep at the 10-yard line. Just underway in the second period. 3-0 Kansas City. Guy with plenty of time. Aims it for the sidelines, but not a good kick. That's going to be out around the 25-yard line. Not even that good. Out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Guy unhappy with that one. Timeout. He'll have some time to think about it. Just a half minute into the second quarter. 21-yard punt. His 21-yard punt positions Kansas City with a first down at its 30-yard line when it appeared that the Chiefs might well be deep toward that goal line. They lead 3-0. Todd Blackledge has his speed to the left. Blackledge goes down, and with it a flag, and I believe Jim Tunney, the referee, is going to call intentionally grounding the ball.
A judgment call by the official, but you saw Blackledge hook that ball to the ground. Tunney's feeling was that he was not just releasing the football, but deliberately throwing it to the ground to avoid the sack. There you see the signal. Let's take a look at it here as Blackledge under pressure right here from Bill Pickell, 71, and it's clearly apparent that he is not throwing to a receiver, and that's the substance of the rule. If the official believes that it's thrown deliberately to avoid the sack, you take the penalty.
In this case, at the spot where he released the ball back at the 19-yard line, so it'll be second down and 21. Couple of extra defensive backs in for the Raiders.
6 DBs, 4 defensive linemen.
Otis Brown Out to the 27-yard line. James Davis, 45. In on the tackle. Also with piece of the action was Lyle Alzado. Today's game is brought to you by Chevrolet, with the performance, the style, the innovation, the quality, and the value that make up today's Chevrolet. By Stroh's and Stroh-Lite, proud sponsors of the Stroh's Run for Liberty. And by Apple, makers of Macintosh, the computer you already know how to use. Kansas City ball, 3rd down and 12 at the Chiefs' 28-yard line. They lead the Raiders 3-0 early in the second quarter. Blackledge over the middle and knocked away beautifully by Mike Haynes, and a flag is down.
Well, there was a little tackling job on Lyle Alzado on that play. John Alt, who's gone in as a replacement at the left tackle position, allowed number 77 Alzado to get by him, and then realizing he was going to get a quarterback sack, just dove and tackled him. 6 defensive backs in the game for the Raiders. They call their 5 defensive back Pirate, and they call their 6 defensive backs Bandit. Colorful names, and you see the Bandits at work here. They simply are not allowing the receivers any chance on that play as they smothered the ball.
Jim Arnold, another bad kick by Arnold, but it gets a great roll, and Greg Pruitt on that sidelines is back to the Raider 39-yard line. Well, Kansas City and the Raiders today, Marino and Duper. Yeah, the Miami Dolphins, Indianapolis Colts next week on NBC. That'll be down at the Orange Bowl in Miami. Let's take a preview of Don Shula's club. Best defense in the league, the Los Angeles Raiders, especially against the pass. And they've had to be tough in the first 2 games because the offense hasn't been able to muster much, especially in the first half. They have only 7 points in 2 games, and we're shut out in the first quarter today. Christensen out to the 48, 49-yard line before John Zamberlin, number 56, can make the tackle near a first down. Why is it that the Raiders are having so much trouble in the first half, would you think, here early?
Dick, they're a very low-key team. And I don't know exactly why it is that they're slow. They're apparently looking at Blackledge's eye here on the sideline. They've got a, maybe it's his nose. Looks like they're taping his nose. They may have had his helmet knocked down over his nose, and sometimes that'll split the bridge of the nose. But getting back to your question, I don't know why it is, except that they are a low-key emotional team, and they know they're the better team on the field. Maybe they're just waiting to get a late start.
Marcus Allen driving into Kansas City territory and a first down at the 46-yard line.
Dick, if you trace last year's Raiders season, the Raiders did the same thing during the last season. They played, well, often sloppy football during the year, just good enough to win. And then they suddenly shifted into gear in the playoffs and just literally tore everyone apart.
Well, there's a team that's been in gear here in '84. The Seahawks leading 16-0 in the second quarter. First down for Plunkett. Wide open is Barnwell at the 34-yard line. Albert Lewis made the hit. First down, Los Angeles, a 14-yard play.
And I believe the longest throw by Plunkett today, traditionally, in fact, in almost every game, the Raiders will open up early by trying to hit the deep patterns. They want to stretch a defense. They talk about the vertical passing game. Have not seen it so far. That's something we may expect here shortly from Jim Plunkett.
Barnwell to the right, Cliff Branch to the left, the tight end Christensen on the right side. Marcus Allen. He's inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. Charles Jackson made the tackle. He had help from Zamberlin and Still. 27-yard line goes Allen, and a gain of about 7 on the play.
As he starts to do a little bit better job with those stats. Had negative stats in the first few carries of the game, and now starting to stretch it out a little bit.
Same formation with Branch left and Barnwell right. King and Allen behind Plunkett, 2nd and 4. King. And he has a first down at the 22-yard line before Deron Cherry can come up from a safety spot to make the hit.
Dick, someone we haven't had a chance to spotlight yet, and he deserves that because he's back in the lineup after an absence with a knee injury. Gary Spaney, defensive captain for these Chiefs, and they're pleased to have him back. He's their emotional leader. He's also the guy that takes the signals and delivers them in the huddle, and he's had some problems. He hopes to play a half today. Looks like he's moving around pretty well so far.
First down for the Raiders under a blitz. And Plunkett had a man close enough, Marcus Allen, so no flag on the play. Art Still, 67, and Charles Jackson, 51, were humming in on Plunkett.
Still was not remaining still on that play. Getting pressure again as the blitz was also added to increase the heat on Plunkett. And Plunkett is showing you his experience. You alluded to that early. The young quarterback, the veteran quarterback. Plunkett knew how to throw that away without getting the deliberate slough-off call that Todd Blackledge got.
In field goal range, trailing 3-0. Draw play to Kenny King, and that did not fool the Chiefs. He's down after a yard gain. Calvin Daniels securing the tackle.
Ken Kramer, Fuzzy they call him, number 91, coming in to put some heat on the play. Angry he didn't get the tackle in the backfield, but forced it into an awkward running play that gained little ground.
Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
Go for it. WDIV Detroit.
3rd and 9 for the Raiders at the Chiefs' 21-yard line. Into the end zone. Cherry intercepts for Kansas City. A flag is down. We'll see whether the Chiefs get the ball. The penalty is against
holding.
Los Angeles. Cherry has his second interception. Kansas City has the ball at the 20-yard line.
An interesting application of a rule as Plunkett unloads the ball deep. And he's going, as we suggested, for the long shot in the end zone. Watch Cherry now. He'll be knocked out of bounds right there. Does not get his feet down in the end zone. But the rule is, if his feet would have come down, they'll give him the reception.
Ron Cherry, number 20. Cherry from Rutgers, a free agent pick. He was drafted or picked by the Chiefs as a punter. Didn't make it as a kicker. Said, hey, use me at defensive back. I can play. Indeed, 7 interceptions last year and 3 this year. Still 3-0 Kansas City. A reverse, a fake reverse. Brown kept the ball and right into the arms of Matt Millen.
A bright play, and that's the kind of play you design against a defense that reacts well. But they faked the reverse, and Millen didn't buy any of it. He just tracked the man down and put him on the ground.
Looked like the reverse might have worked had he handed it off.
Well, they looked like they had a scout on that one. There's Cherry. He's very happy. Not only a great season last year, but a starter in the Pro Bowl. To go from virtually a walk-on, if you will, to a starter in the Pro Bowl in one season. Now, that's an amazing story.
We saw Seattle has moved out to a 23-0 lead. Kenny Easley a touchdown on an interception for the Seahawks. This is Theodis Brown. And Brown rumbles out to about the 24-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and 6, a 9-yard gain for the former UCLA star. He followed Wendell Tyler with the Bruins and preceded Freeman McNeil. They called him Bigfoot. His very wide feet, says he used to stamp out small brush fires out there on the hills around the San Fernando Valley.
Well, he's found a home here. He said, I'm not the greatest runner in the world. I'm not the greatest blocker in the world. I'm not the greatest pass catcher in the world, but I can do all of those things, and that's what John Mackovic wants, is a well-balanced offensive back that can be receiver, blocker, and runner.
3rd and 6, shotgun. 6 defensive backs for the Raiders. Incomplete and almost into the arms of Mike Davis out at the 40-yard line. So the Chiefs will have to kick, and we're going to send it to New York.
All right, Dick, here's what's happened at Sullivan Stadium. Paul Johns has scored a 47-yard return for a touchdown, and New England looks flat. Steve Grogan has been replaced by Tony Eason. And Dick, you might remember last year, Johns a 75-yard return against the Raiders. It's 23-0.
So that Seattle team has been opportunistic last year as they went all the way to the AFC Championship game against the Raiders, and they've started the same way for Chuck Knox, leading 23-0. Appears to be Greg Townsend.
No, I believe it's Rod Martin.
Rod Martin
on the field, 53, and that would be a severe blow if he were to be injured.
So as they attend to the all-pro linebacker of the Raiders, Rod Martin, let's use this time to bring you a special message. 7:53 left in the first half. Kansas City by a field goal. Rod Martin left the field under his own power. He appears to be okay. 7:53 remaining in this first half. Jim Arnold to punt. Greg Pruitt back at the Raider 36. Arnold having trouble, gets that one high. Pruitt with some room at the 42, 45, 50, out of bounds at midfield. So the Raiders once again come up with excellent field position. Ken Jolly, number 52, made the tackle for Kansas City. Well, next week, weekend 4 of this NFL season, and here's our lineup on NBC. 12:30 for NFL 84 with Bob Costas. Pittsburgh and Cleveland, Houston, Atlanta, and the Jets in Buffalo. And in our later games, starting at 3:30, the Colts will be at Miami, and this Kansas City club plays at Mile High Stadium in Denver. So be with us again for NFL action on NBC beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time. 3-0 Kansas City. Flag down. Wide open is Barnwell. He takes a mean lick from Kevin Ross. Make that Lloyd Burris 20-yard gain if. Illegal procedure, Raiders.
That will nullify a fine gain as the Raiders were able to slip into a little seam in the zone there.
So instead of a 20-yard gain, a 5-yard deficit. The Cardinals, after trailing 7-0 early, have come back to take the lead 14-7 against the Colts.
The Raiders continue to be their own worst enemies today. Certainly not appeared to be sharp on offense at all. Their defense playing relatively well, but the offense very sluggish in the early going.
Marcus Allen cutting back as he can so well. Plunkett with a block, and Allen gets about 3 yards. Plunkett throwing a block on Calvin Daniels.
And I believe there's a Raider, I think that's Romano down on the field. And if that is, that's a problem for these Raiders who already have Dalby, number 50, their center, the regular center, on the bench. He's got a groin injury. Romano, starting in only his second ball game, has not moved off the field yet. That might mean that if he cannot go, we'll see Don Mospar moved into that center position.
Romano, second-round pick out of Penn State in '82. Slowly getting to his feet.
Well, he's moving up, and you've got to know that a youngster getting a chance to play, who knows that you don't get in very easily into this Raider offense, has got to be up. He say, hey, I'm okay. It's like a fighter who's been decked. He wants to get up and hurry, but he's got to go out for one play at least, and he will indeed go to the sideline. And let's see what they do. Will they bring Dalby in off the bench, or will they put Mospar over at that center position?
Well, the Raiders, of course, with a great history at center, and Dave Dalby, number 50, is in. This means his consecutive game streak will continue. This is the 176th straight game that Dalby out of UCLA has played for the Raiders as he follows in the bootstraps of Jim Otto, who played 15 years at that position.
Well, they'll hope that he doesn't strain that groin again. They're concerned about aggravating that injury and maybe putting him out for a long period of time.
Second and long. Over the middle to Christensen, and Cherry makes the tackle at the 47-yard line of Kansas City, a 9-yard gain.
And there goes Romano. He'll head back into the ball game, and they'll take Dalby out. I talked to Todd Christensen earlier, and I asked him about coming back. I said, is your timing good? Are you back into the patterns now? He said, yeah. He said, I really didn't feel any problem getting back into the swing of things. But I said, were you sore after that first game down to Houston? He said, yeah. He said, it hurt. It hurt.
3rd down and 5. Christensen at the 35, the 33. A first down for the Raiders before Albert Lewis can ride him down.
Well, Christensen showing you how he corralled 92 passes during the 83 season. Only has 7 so far in this season. He's picked up a couple a day. Certainly able to get a good gain on that one in a first down.
They're the all-time NFL leaders in receptions. Hennigan, former Oiler, Lionel Taylor up at Denver.
And Christensen's 92. Impressive.
On first down, Plunkett with Bell after him. Unloading, open is Branch, and he can't get there. Plunkett had to get rid of the ball as Bell was about to drag him down, and though Branch had beaten 2 Chiefs, the pass was not quite on target.
We mentioned Branch's speed earlier. I talked to Lloyd Burris, plays strong safety. He doesn't have to cover Branch very often, but he said in his rookie year, he lined up to cover Branch, and he said, I saw him coming, and I knew I had him. The next thing I knew, he was gone. He said after that, when I see Branch coming, he said, I get on my horse.
Branch closing in on that 500 reception mark. 2nd and 10. Looking for Branch again. He was not in bounds. He was out of bounds. Beautiful throw, but not quite enough room on the sidelines for Branch to stay in play.
And as you might expect, they're testing the young rookie, Kevin Ross, number 31. Started out a little bit shakily in the first game, but came back to play well last week. And look at that shot. Ball drifting in over the top, perfectly thrown. Only one problem. Branch is running outside the field.
That's a touchdown in Toronto.
Yeah, oh yes.
Green Bay leading the Bears 7-6 in the second quarter. 14 all. The Cardinals and the Colts second quarter. Here it's 3-0 Kansas City. 3rd and 10. Intercepted. That's going to be a touchdown. Kevin Ross. 70 yards for the rookie Kevin Ross. His first NFL interception goes 71 yards for a score, and the Chiefs lead it 9-0.
Well, you test a young man like Kevin Ross, and he comes right back and shows you what he's made of. Doing a good job of reading that play and showing some fine speed to put it in the end zone.
Lowry's tried for a point. City celebrates a 10-0 lead. Plunkett intercepted 3 times, and this one goes 6 the other way.
Dick, I believe we've touched many times in the early going on this game on the importance of emotion and the fact that these Chiefs are indeed pumped well in excess of what you see on the Raiders sideline. I believe that kind of play is the direct result of that emotion.
Kevin Ross, the rookie, with a touchdown, and it's 10-0. Contrast to these two teams, the veteran Plunkett, 14 years in the league. Kevin Ross, in only his 3rd game, the 7th-round pick out of Temple, a 71-yard touchdown to give the Chiefs a 10-0 lead. Lowry kicks it off. Terrific height. Clee Montgomery at the 10, 20, 30, and down at the 31-yard line. Well, John Mackovic told us yesterday, Merlin, that he was excited about the game for a lot of reasons. One, he's off to a good start, but it was a chance using the Super Bowl champions as a barometer. How good is this Kansas City team, he said.
Well, he knows it's early in the season. He's proud of his team for winning twice on the road. but they pointed to this game. They knew it would be the real test for them, and so far they're passing the test with flying colors.
Cliff Branch has not caught a pass yet as the Raiders break huddle, and this is when the veteran Raiders are usually at their best. When they're stung, they fall behind. Let's see if they open up the game. Plunkett dumps it off to Barnwell, and he has a first down out at the 44-yard line. Well, it wasn't very pretty, but it got 14 yards.
Same kind of pass we saw Todd Blackledge throw a few minutes ago. Again, this is a little shot put kind of action. Barnwell staying inside, and Plunkett finally having to resort to the outlet receiver. Well, that's about a 6-yard pass, but Barnwell shows you his speed. Doesn't matter how you get it done, as long as you get the job done.
First down at the 44. 5 minutes left in the first half. Plunkett to Christensen. About a 5-yard gain. Charles Jackson and John Zamberlin team up on the tackle.
Dick, we've talked a little bit about the Raider pattern last year. Another pattern emerging in this game. When the Raiders had trouble, when they lost football games, and in particular to another rival in the AFC West, Seattle, it was a direct result of pressure on the quarterback and turnovers. Turnovers so far, the big key in this game.
3-1. Kansas City lost the fumble, but you see the 3 interceptions by Plunkett. Kenny King, a gain of a yard to the 50-yard line. Ken Kramer, a 6-year veteran from Ball State, made the tackle, number 91. That'll bring up 3rd down and 4 for the Raiders, and they need a first down to move it into possible scoring position.
Well, I need to turn on the afterburner a little bit, get things together, and the Raiders are a veteran team. They don't panic. They don't lose their poise. But right now, I promise you that Coach Tom Flores is concerned about their lack of offense in the early going.
Neither team able to run the football in this first half. Plunkett needs 4 yards and almost has another one picked off. Kerry Parker knocking it away from Malcolm Barnwell, and the Raiders have to give up the ball again.
The Raiders had given up 8 sacks coming into this game, and certainly today, pressure on Jim Plunkett has resulted in a number of miscues on his part. Very significant.
Neither punter, although they were 1-2 in the NFL, having a good first half. Deron Cherry on the near side. J.T. Smith ready to return for the Chiefs. They're going to let that one go. And it takes a Raider bounce and will be downed inside the 10-yard line. Stacy Turan downs it, the rookie from Notre Dame. Well, the race for the baseball pennant is wildest in the American League West, and NBC Sports will take you right to the wire. Of course, we'll have the World Series for you later, and next week the Twins and Royals, engaged in that 3-way fight with the Angels, are featured on our game of the week, 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon Eastern Time, 11 o'clock out on the West Coast, as we follow the Kansas Cities, the Minnesotas, and the Californias down to the wire in the American League West. Everything else seems fairly well set. It appears it'll be the Cubs and the Padres fighting it out in the National League, and the Detroit Tigers waiting for the winner of the West. The Otis Brown. And he's out to the 16-yard line, a gain of 7.
Otis Brown on the carry.
An effective play, and I think made effective by the fact that the Raiders were expecting a pass. They had a pass defensive unit on the field, and Kansas City crossed them up by handing the ball to Otis Brown, who did his best job of running so far in this ballgame.
Well, Makovic and Blackledge and the Chiefs would like nothing more than to run out the clock here in the first half. They have a 10-0 lead, 2:43 and running in the half. 2nd down and 3. Brown has a first down to the 21, and a flag goes down. A late flag, by the way.
One of the things that happens when things are not going well for this Raider team is that their emotions begin to surface. A personal foul right there on number 77, I believe, Lyle Alzado. In fact, we have a shot of Alzado on that play. And this is something you don't want to do. If you're a young football player, you're playing on defense, you have to learn to control your emotions. Lyle Alzado does not do it as he delivers a blow to the head right there on David Little, a second tight end. And there was the second shot. He's angry because he's not getting to the quarterback. But he also is not allowed to use that slap to the head, and that's what he's ticketed for.
It's interesting, that used to be a legal device, and your old teammate, Hall of Famer Deacon Jones, he was one of the best at it.
Well, in fact, they call it the Deacon Jones rule. You can't do that anymore.
Deacon said he got out just in time.
That's right.
So the penalty yardage about the same, but the Chiefs leading 10-0 with that penalty have a first down out across their own 35.
The Raider defense right now thinking turnover. They'd love to get their hands on their football.
Going long. And a flag is down against Lester Hayes. The pass intended for Anthony Hancock. And they're going to call Hayes for interference.
Anthony Hancock, the fastest of the Chiefs receivers, testing Lester's speed deep. Lester certainly had the speed to stay with Hancock, but will be ticketed for bumping the receiver before the ball arrived.
That's 54 yards in penalties in the last two plays. 39 yards on that one after the 15-yard personal foul. Lyle Alzado, let's check him.
Let's see what Alzado was doing. You saw him getting the penalty earlier, working one-on-one on Matt Herkenhoff. And again, he is frustrated by not being, you see him shot right there. Now that's the kind of thing that'll get you thrown out of a ball.
Well, he should be. That was a cheap shot, taking a blow to the stomach when no one was looking, including the man he hit. That's not an all-pro play. Blackledge going long. Oh, and that was close to interference. Mike Davis was close. And another flag is down.
I believe they're going to call him for roughing the passer on that play.
Well, this is what the Raiders do. They like to intimidate, and when they get behind, we've seen this too many times for it to be just an accident. This is part of their pattern. And frankly, I don't like what I see. They're too good to have to resort to this.
Well, there's no question about that, Dick, and you won't find many players or coaches on that sideline who are liking what they see on that field as well. And that man won't show you his emotions at this point, but he is not happy at all.
Well, the Chiefs have gained 69 yards in penalties on this drive.
The length of the field virtually, and almost all of it on Raider penalties.
Now they're definitely in scoring position and plenty of time. 2:21. That last penalty was on Howie Long for roughing Blackledge. The Otis Brown. Inside the 10 to the 9-yard line. Bob Nelson, one of the first, along with Van McElroy, to make the tackle, and the Chiefs are going to let the clock run to the 2-minute warning.
A great opportunity here to really pad their lead and to go into the locker room with a substantial margin on the world champion Raiders.
Well, it's a proud team that has lost its poise. The Raiders here in the late going of the first half, and John Makovich's Chiefs trying to build on the 10-0 lead. John Makovich, his team leading 10-0, and they have taken advantage of their opportunities. Only 3 times of 16 have they not scored once entering enemy territory, and they have another golden chance, second down inside the 10 of the Raiders.
Now that's points on the board. That's field goals or touchdowns, and that is most impressive. I think that speaks well not only for the offense in general, but in particular for young Todd Blackledge.
This drive, 4 plays and 3 big penalties. It started way back inside the Kansas City 10. 2 minutes left in the half. 10-0 Chiefs. almost picked off by Mike Davis, intended for Willie Scott. Scott went inside, and the pass was outside.
Carlos Carson still on the turf. Apparently roughed on that particular play, or that would be costly.
He wasn't near the pass. He was underneath the throw.
He went up in traffic, Dick. There were three defenders with him, and I couldn't see what happened. He may have come down strangely on his leg.
Matt Millen, well, that's like running into a goalpost if he ran into 55.
Let's take a quick peek and see if we can see what happened there. Look at number 55. He is reading pass and drifting back into the secondary. It's Carlos Carson right there. Millen almost separating him from his helmet on that play.
Millen didn't know, but what Carson was the intended receiver, so he made the hit. Carlos Carson is okay.
Carlos, I think, just lost a little air, and understandably so. You know, Todd Blackledge was a teammate briefly of Matt Millen's, and he said, when I went in as a red shirt, he said they sent me down on the kickoff team, and here came Todd leading the wedge, and I thought he was going to stop, so I kind of backed up. He ran right over me, ground me into the dirt. Interesting memories for a young red shirt of a very dominant player.
A lot of Joe Paterno Penn Staters in this game today on both sides, as is the case around the NFL, and Todd Blackledge was running the offense against Matt Millen. The inspiration on that defense, a couple of ex-Nittany Lions. Third down from the 9. Good protection to this side, and it's out of bounds. Stephon Page. Is it a catch? No catch. Incomplete.
The same kind of ruling that we saw earlier on the Cliff Branch catch and fumble. The officials, given the opportunity to say, was it a reception and a fumble or no reception, they're pretty liberal on that. Let's take a look at it. The rule says if the receiver comes down with both feet on the ground and control of the football, it's a completion. There's no question. It's a completion. But they also, as I said, have liberalized that to try and avoid the fumbles.
Nick Lowry then will try a 27-yard field goal. That would mean, if successful, would be 13 in a row over the last 2 years. Raiders blocked one against Lowry last year that cost Kansas City a possible upset. Not this time. 13 in a row for Lowry, who still, in his career of 5 years, has never missed inside the 30-yard line.
Dick, let's take a quick peek at something that irritates, well, I think irritates all of us who love the game of football. Lyle Alzado absolutely losing his cool here. He's mad because he doesn't get to the quarterback. He went back on a play similar to that and popped Matt Herkenhoff in the stomach. That's the kind of play that'll get you a penalty, a foul, and, well, even a fine for the commissioner.
Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs, the man who founded the American Football League, and Joe Foss, who was the first commissioner of the AFL 25 years ago, will be ceremonies at halftime honoring the Kansas City Hall of Famers. We'll try to bring you the spirit and some of the moments of that. It should be very nostalgic. The Chiefs lead 13-0. Dokie Williams at the 5, the 20, and he is hammered at the 24-yard line. Let's go back to Todd Blackledge and that third down pass that he thought was complete.
Blackledge brings not only some physical talents, but also some emotion to the game. I think good quarterbacks are emotionally involved, and he is right up there to let those officials know that he thought that that was a reception.
Another penalty flag down on the kickoff return, and the guess is it's against the white shirts. And apparently from their retreat is indeed 84, NFL 84 at halftime. We'll bring you up to date on all the big plays and the scores of the early games. So stay with us here on NBC. 53, Rod Martin with a penalty. I understand that Pete Axelm picked Kansas City to win this game against the Raiders. The Raiders slight favorites. There's some of the great faces and names of the past.
Buchanan and Bobby Bell.
Boy, they look good, don't they?
Hey, they look almost like they get out of play. They'd like to on a day like this against an That's Buchanan on the left and Bobby Bell on the right. And well, I tell you, you get those two in their prime and stick them on the field, they'll have an impact on the game.
Only thing that gives them away is a little gray in the whiskers. They both look in terrific shape. Well, Jim Plunkett starts from inside his 15. He has a minute 42 left in the half. That's a lot of time for him. Dumps it out to Marcus Allen. Oh, is he hit at the 20-yard line? Ken McAllister, who did not play college football, was a basketball starter at the University of San Francisco. Oh, was that a charging foul?
McAllister, they're very high on him, was a defensive back for a brief time, both in Kansas City, or not in Kansas City, but in Seattle and San Francisco. They came back without a huddle on that one, as you can see, Dick. Rain it down incomplete. Minute and 15 and counting. Let's see if they go back and huddle it this time.
That was Dokey Williams, the intended target, and McAllister and Lloyd Burris there on the coverage. E.J. Holub, the first-round pick of the Chiefs in 1961. Do you know who the first #1 pick in 60? They didn't sign him. The Chiefs' first #1 pick. It was a dandy choice.
I don't remember.
Don Meredith was their first pick, and Dandy elected to go to Dallas. It was the Dallas Texans and the Dallas Cowboys then. Screen to Marcus, 20. They're trying to keep him in bounds, but Allen runs out of bounds at the 30-yard line, stops the clock, 1:07 left in the half.
I think that E.J. Holub, one of the great lines that I've heard from a fellow player, he'd had, I think, 11 knee operations, and someone asked him about it. He said, yeah, I look like I've been in a knife fight with a midget.
E.J. Holub, and there's Johnny Robinson. What a great defensive back he was.
Well, all here to be honored, and I think it's kind of exciting to bring those kind of faces back. That'll bring up a lot of memories for NFLers and AFLers that have played against those fellows who are sitting watching today on television.
From the 29, first down, and Plunkett goes deep. He has a man to Williams. And Kevin Ross, boy, he's got some speed. He was beaten by a step, but Ross able to race back and correct his error and knock the ball away. That's the same young man from Temple who took a interception back 71 yards for a touchdown earlier in this quarter.
Defensive coaches talk about the ability of a defender to close on the receiver. And what they're talking about is when a ball is thrown, making up the distance that you have lost. You see it right there. Look how he closed in on that play, and he went up as a receiver. That young man feels like he owns that football. He certainly continues that way. He's going to make a mark here in the NFL.
Got three wide receivers in. Williams to the left, Clee Montgomery, and Branch to the right. Plunkett completes to Allen. What a play by Plunkett, and Allen has a first down at the 46-yard line. Plunkett threw that ball while going to the carpet. Oh, what an effort. 16 yards.
Plunkett calling timeout, got a little upset at Jim Tunney, who was looking downfield. Plunkett had to yell at him a couple of times to get him to stop the clock. Here's the play. Plunkett getting tremendous pressure. In fact, gets a hit right there, maintains his cool, and actually threw that ball falling down. Marcus does his thing.
Well, the Raiders looking for something big, maybe much like Cincinnati. With 18 seconds left in the half in New York, Kenny Anderson hit M.L. Harris an 80-yard touchdown. Undoubtedly, you'll see that on NFL 84 at halftime, and the Bengals take a 16-13 lead. So with 49 seconds now left on the clock, the Raiders trying to come up with their first points of the half.
You saw Plunkett's numbers just a moment ago, and they're certainly not unpleasant numbers. The one unpleasant number for Plunkett and the Raiders, the 3 under the interceptions at the end of that column of statistics.
Yeah, the Raiders, and of course they have nothing but confidence if they should score here with 49 seconds left. Suddenly a 13-0 lead is 13-6 or 7. And when you consider how hard Kansas City has worked, if they go into the dressing room with only a 6-point lead, you wonder what that would do to them emotionally. But there's 54 yards to go for Plunkett, and he goes to Allen again, and Allen down at the 48-yard line in the grasp of Kerry Parker and Deron Cherry. 6 yards on the play, no huddle.
They'll come right back trying to get this one in the air, but the big difference between these two teams, Dick, experience and confidence.
Clock running, 25 seconds left. Down the middle and knocked away by Ken McAllister, and a flag goes down. A late flag and then another later flag to follow. And they're going to call him, I think he had some action on the backhand before he knocked it away with the other.
These fans so eager to applaud the calls against the Raiders, not so pleased with that call against their Chiefs. And that's why you like to play at home.
Let's see, McAllister, watch the contact on Christensen. Is he there too soon? Tough to tell from there, but the officials ruled that was the case, and a first down at the 35-yard line.
Raiders very close to being within range of a field goal, but the clock ticking away with 20 seconds to go.
22 seconds exactly. Plunkett to Barnwell, and he can't get out of bounds, and a flag down, and that'll stop the clock. And a big break for the Raiders as Parker, in making the tackle, inadvertently got a piece of the face mask, and that's a break for Los Angeles. Stops the clock with 14 seconds left.
Kerry Parker, originally drafted by the Raiders, played 3 years for the BC Lions of the CFL, has come here. They're using him as a 5th and 6th defensive back. I believe he got his hands up on the face mask on that particular play.
Apparently, with only 14 seconds left, Plunkett will use one of his timeouts anyway to talk things over with Tom Flores. No, I guess not.
Well, let's see if they're going to make it. It's going to be a big one.
Oh, 15 yards.
Well, that means he used the face mask to make the tackle. Now, it's a 5-yard call if the contact with the mask is incidental. If he uses the face mask in a way that would be dangerous to the man being tackled, then you get the full 15.
From our long angle, it didn't seem to be that vicious, but maybe from this angle, we'll get a better look at it.
There's the reach right there. He's reached in. You see the head go down?
But he
That's what
released
they've called.
But he released. He didn't drag him down with it.
Well, he used it to make the tackle, though. He didn't just get his hand on the mask, Dick.
So on the 15-yard penalty, first down at the 15. Plunkett to Christensen. Lloyd Burris on the coverage, but the pass too tall. 11 seconds left.
The Chiefs continue to get excellent pressure on Plunkett, and they're able to do it with their defensive line. And that's, as we said earlier, the strength of this Chief defense is up front. Although they've exhibited a lot of strength behind that line today, but they were coming in with 4 defensive linemen putting the heat on. And there are the numbers we asked you to look at earlier. And the big number, the telling number, that 3 under the interceptions and the 0 under touchdowns. Plunkett would like to put a 1 into that 0 column today.
He's got 11 seconds to do it here in the half. Good protection. And a flag is down, intended for Dokie Williams. And let's see against whom. The penalty will be called with 5 seconds left. Holding Raiders. And 30 minutes of frustration for Tom Flores and the son of Kansas City. And in comes the field goal unit for the Raiders. Chris Barr, who has 1 for 2 this year, his only successful field goal from 28 yards. And with a 10-yard penalty, this one's going to be a little tougher for him, but will give the Raiders a chance at something to show for the first half's work. Barr and Pat Leahy, I think, has a couple today, the leading point scorers among active kickers in the league. This will be from the 33, a 43-yard attempt, so certainly no automatic. Mark Wilson, the quarterback, holding. And Barr is right down the middle, and the Raiders salvage the field goal at the end of the first half.
Those are important points. They take the 0 off the board and will deflate the Kansas City emotion just slightly.
The big play, the 71-yard touchdown by Kevin Ross with the interception at the half. Kansas City 13, Los Angeles 3, NFL 84 after these messages.
And we welcome those of you who've been watching the Raiders in Kansas City. Let's get you updated on what's happening elsewhere. At Sullivan Stadium up in New England, Seattle coming off 2 rousing victories at home and doing it now on the road. 23-7 at halftime over the Patriots. No wonder Ron Meyer's boys are shaking their heads. It's 3-0 as we pick up the action, courtesy of a Norm Johnson field goal for Seattle. And then this first quarter pass of 41 yards, right on the money, a beauty from David Craig to Darrell Turner. They missed the point after. It was 9-0. Now the Patriots punt out of their end zone in the second quarter. Paul Johns fields it at the 47, and they don't touch him. All the way to the end zone he goes, and after the point after, it's 16-0. Moments later, Grogan intercepted by Kenny Easley, brought it back 17 for a touchdown, made it 23-zip. Grogan, who was intercepted 4 times last week at Miami, then was yanked, and Tony Eason had a scoring run late in the first half for the Patriots to bring them to 23-7. Now in the game that you've been watching, Kansas City in front of the Raiders, 13-3 at halftime. The Chris Barr field goal from 43 yards out on the last play of the half, putting the Raiders on the board, but it has been the Chiefs' secondary vexing Jim Plunkett. Here is some first quarter action as Plunkett throws, and Duron Cherry is there to intercept the poorly thrown ball and halt the Raider rally. A little bit later as we move on to the second quarter, it's the Raiders moving again and looking for 6 as Plunkett throws into the end zone. But again, wrong colored jersey, and again, Duron Cherry to stop the drive. Now again in the second quarter, Plunkett will throw, and this time Kevin Ross, the man who replaced Gary Green in the starting lineup for the Chiefs, intercepts it, and he's got clear sailing, 71 yards for the touchdown. Lowry had a couple of field goals, made it 13-0, and then as I mentioned, the Barr field goal made it 13-3, and that is where they stand at halftime. The Chiefs looking to go 3-0 on the year. At Green Bay, they have moved into the third quarter at Lambeau Field. The Packers lead Chicago 7-6. Walter Payton had 50 yards in the first half. Lynn Dickey did start at quarterback for Green Bay, and he's still in there. However, Jim McMahon, who was banged up to begin with, injured his back for Chicago in the first half. He's been replaced by Bob Avellini. How about the Bengals and Jets, Bill?
All right, Bob. Well, Ken Anderson had thrown for over 600 yards in the first 2 weeks, but he hadn't thrown a touchdown, and that was a concern for Sam Weitz coming in. He has 2 today, though, and the Bengals lead at 16-13. Freeman McNeil, like many, wondering how good are the Jets. Well, they were impressive at the goal line the first quarter, stopping James Brooks on a 3rd and goal from the 1. Johnny Lynn is there. The Bengals did score in the first quarter. It was set up by this Ken Anderson to Chris Collinsworth pass of 36 yards. Collinsworth, the NFL's leading receiver after 2 weeks. That set up an Anderson to Brooks TD pass. Jets got into their offense, though, in the second quarter. Freeman McNeil up the middle. Jets' first rushing touchdown of the year. But the Bengals scored on the first play from scrimmage in the second half, an 80-yard TD pass. Anderson to M.L. Harris. It is 16-13. Atlanta and Minnesota, battle of field goals. They are tied at the half in the Metrodome at 6. St. Louis and Indianapolis. This will surprise some people. But the key to this ball game, the Colts have done a good job stopping Neil Lomax, who is 5 of 17, and he's thrown 2 interceptions. Bob?
All right, Bill, thanks very much. Let's turn to Ahmad Rashad. Have the Chiefs surprised you in that first half against the Raiders?
And not at all, Bobby, because they've won their first 2 games on the road. And when that happens, what that does is gives you a tremendous amount of confidence. Now, they're not been intimidated by the Raiders. They really believe they can win. I ran into Makovic this summer, and he felt like this was their year. He felt like his team was maturing. Took them a year to learn the system, smooth out all their mistakes, and they'd make a legitimate run for the division title this year. Also, when you see defensive backs playing as well as they've been playing, they're putting a lot of pressure on Jim Plunkett up front.
And maybe it's not too soon to say that those days of the great Chiefs-Raiders rivalry have returned. That'd be something for fans of the old AFL. And we'll be back after these messages from your local station as NFL 84 halftime activities As we continue now at halftime, time for another installment of the AFL Remembered. Remember those glorious days of the likes of Elbert Golden Wheels Dubenion, Gene Mingo, Sherman Plunkett. Charlie Jones was broadcasting AFL games in those days. He remembers.
It was a godsend because it opened up a lot of opportunity for a lot of players who were just, at the margin of their pro football career and who needed a chance to play. And that's what it did for me.
This is the AFL Remembered, featuring Getting on Track, hosted by Charlie Jones.
No one knew much about what we were supposed to do, but we were all eager to do it. And it was kind of trial and error.
One of the great things to me about the AFL at the beginning was the owners at a league meeting listened to the football people. In fact, they deferred to the football people. Billy Sullivan got up and said, we have some of the greatest loophole finders in the history of the world in this room with Faulkner, Klosterman, Locusow, Al Davis. Why don't we get out of here and let them work it out and not tell us about it? Just go do it.
And so the so-called football people set their sights on acquiring players for their league. for us to have a great league, we needed great players. So that was one of my goals, to attract great players to the Chargers and even to the entire American Football League. And Walt Sweeney was a great offensive end out of the University of Syracuse. We signed him outside the locker room after his last game, and the Browns were waiting inside the locker room, figuring that he'd come in off the field. We got him before he come off the field.
The war for players is now underway, and the National Football League will not sit quietly by.
I can remember the coaches saying, these are a bunch of young men who got an awful lot of money. It's their plaything. It's not going to last more than 1 year, maybe 2 years. So don't even think about that league, because you don't want to degrade yourself to go play in the American Football League. It's the minor leagues. You're in the major leagues right here in the National Football League. And they had us believing that sort of talk.
I remember telling one kid, you have two choices. You can take that propaganda book the NFL sent you, and you can read about all the records. Or you can go with us. We don't have any book, but we give you a pencil and you can write the records.
Boston Patriot Gino Cappelletti will establish a record for points scored in a career as a receiver and place kicker. Oakland Raider Clem Daniels will become the AFL's all-time leading rusher. Denver's Lionel Taylor will grab the most passes in the AFL. And quarterback Jack Kemp of the Chargers and Bills will complete the most passes in AFL history. But the early years of brilliance will often go unappreciated due to the lack of fan interest. One of the problems facing the American Football League was lack of attendance. Sometimes during a ballgame, a player on the sideline would turn and find only one spectator sitting in a whole section of seats.
It was disheartening when you're winning. I guess when you lose, it's a different situation. But in those days, as myself personally, I'm just happy to be playing.
And next week, as the AFL Remembered continues, we'll look at the early days of Al Davis's tenure with the Raiders, and the American Football League comes of age in Super Bowl III as Broadway Joe Namath leads the Jets to a shocking victory over the then Baltimore Colts. Right now, NFL 84 halftime activities will continue in a moment.
For the Chiefs and their fans, the 25th anniversary of the original American Football League Dallas Texans, who later, 2-3 years later, became the Kansas City Chiefs. And halftime ceremonies have just concluded, Merlin, and we'd like to at least share with you the faces that you might have cheered yourself a few years ago to help lead Kansas City to the Super Bowl. E.J. Hollop, 75, Jerry Mays, Otis Taylor, one of the greats, Fred Arbanis, Johnny Robinson, the all-pro safety, Buck Buchanan, Chris Burford. Lenny Dawson got a big hand, our former colleague on NBC, and Bobby Bell, and the latest member of the Kansas City Hall of Fame, Ed Buddy, number 71, his son playing, of course, in the middle of the offensive line today.
Dick, I had a chance to play against quite a few of those guys, and I can remember the first time they ever walked out on the field. And I looked over, and play stopped for us. We were intimidated by the very size. They were such a big team, and it's something the Raiders do, too. It was visual intimidation. We knew we were going to have our hands full. We played very well against them, although they came on in their Super Bowl year in 1969 to embarrass us in the preseason. And we played here when this stadium first opened. I remember how impressed I was with this facility then, and still am for that matter.
Of course, they originally played back at Municipal Stadium. Well, the Los Angeles Raiders, true to form. They scored without a point the first half against Houston and won. They scored only 7 points and were tied 7-7 against Green Bay at home last week and won 28-7. And they scored but 3 against Kansas City and trailed 13-3 at the intermission this afternoon. And on this beautiful day in Kansas City, the Chiefs will get the ball first to open the second half. We'll return to Arrowhead Stadium, where the underdog Chiefs lead the Super Bowl champions 13-3. So Kansas City on the touchback at the 20-yard line. The first half statistics, most of the big numbers belong to the Raiders, but not the score. You see total time at the bottom. They almost had the ball the entire second quarter, but that big 71-yard interception for a touchdown by the Chiefs going the other way.
Kansas City continues to lose the battle of statistics. They've lost it in both of their wins on the road. They don't mind as long as they can keep the score in their favor.
Lowry, a field goal in the first quarter, then the big interception returned for a touchdown by Kevin Ross. Lowry made it 13-0 before Barr's 43-yard field goal. That was just at the gun. First down, Todd Blackledge, the second-year quarterback from Penn State. And a tentative effort up the middle by Theodis Brown, who rushed for 32 yards in the first half to lead all rushers. In fact, that was 9 more yards than Marcus Allen. At offensive line, Bob Rush is the center. Brad Buddy Jr., Brad Buddy, whose dad Ed, featured in the halftime ceremonies. Tom Condon, Matt Herkenoff, and Jim Rourke, the starting tackles, but we saw both Auld and Baldinger at tackle in that first half.
They call themselves the Sack Busters. Howie Long said, hey, we're going to slime them. But they haven't done it. They don't have a sack. The Raiders do not have a sack here in the first half.
Chiefs had 2. On 2nd and 8. Blackledge complete. And a first down to Carlos Carson. And they're going to call it back. Flag is down.
There's a simple equation on the field for the passing game. You've got to give your quarterback time to throw. Sometimes holding helps. Unfortunately, they'll call it back. But let's look at Bob Rush inside, 53. And watch the help now he'll get from Condon. He knocks Bill Piquel up. Condon comes in underneath. You see the battle going on between Herkenhoff and Alzado on that side. Time to throw. I believe the penalty would have been called on the far side.
Reading Jim Tunney's lips, it appeared that number 66, Brad Buddy, was ticketed for the hold on that occasion. His dad wore 71, but Dave Lindstrom on defense has that number with the Chiefs. So Buddy, when he broke in as a #1 draft pick out of Southern California, selected 66. And he was the man who committed the foul on that last play. Herman Hurd, number 44, a rookie from Southern Colorado, a 3rd-round draft pick, into the game, and that was his first carry. Matt Millen made the tackle.
5-yard pickup by Hurd, who has blazing speed, and they say he's built a little bit like Joe Delaney, who was so tragically lost to this Kansas City team. They would love to see him develop into a runner who can give them some spark. That certainly is one thing that John Mackovic does not have on this team, is an explosive runner.
And he said there just weren't any available in the draft. In fact, Hurd, a 3rd-round pick, he was the 2nd running back taken in the last draft. Greg Bell of Buffalo, the only other one in the first 2 rounds plus.
4 wide receivers again, Dick.
3rd down and 13. And incomplete. Closest man was Stephon Page, and the Raiders will get excellent field position.
Blackledge off target, and I believe he is 0 for 6 since the turn of the quarter. He has not continued the rather hot hand that he had in the first quarter of this game, and we're seeing a familiar pattern develop here. The Raiders, who've been so slow in starting in their first 2 ball games, have come on to score 45 points in the second half. Their defense has also increased the pressure.
The only man back is Greg Pruitt. There's the best kick of the day for Arnold. Pruitt at his 38. Boy, he comes right at you, doesn't he? To the 47-yard line, a 9-yard return for the veteran from Oklahoma.
Dick, it's one interesting thing with a 12 o'clock start time. That's like starting on the East Coast at 1 o'clock, and for the Raiders, that's like 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, that doesn't sound like something that would bother a team, but they usually practice in the afternoon. They're used to playing their football in the afternoon, and when you're in that kind of habit, you don't tend to wake up. You don't tend to get the juices flowing. And I remember that distinctly as a player, feeling that we as a West Coast team had a real disadvantage when we played on East Coast time.
That is a good point. You have to have that scrambled eggs and toast at about 6 in the morning. Plunkett dumps it off to Allen. Allen running through a tackle, and Gary Spaney finally helped out Lloyd Burris, who made initial contact. Kevin Ross also in on the play. Short yardage for Allen, who caught 4 passes in the first half.
Burris did a good job of positioning on Allen. We didn't expect to see Spaney play much more than a half. He must be feeling good on that knee.
Watch Cliff Branch, still with that great speed. 9-3, and he hasn't lost a step. Did not catch a pass in the first half. You have to guess that he's going to get something big here soon. Over the middle to Kenny King, and he's tackled at the Kansas City 45. John Zamberlin in a swarm of red jerseys, short of the first down by about 1.5 yards. Anthony Hancock working on the ankle of the speedster from Tennessee.
Feet, ankles, knees, critical to all the players, but especially to the speed players who rely on that burst and the cutting ability to get them open. Hancock, a real flyer with 4.4 speed, and he's the kind that'll strike some fear in the heart of the defense.
Big down, 3rd and 2. An excellent play made by Zamberlin, 56, as he moved quickly to bat it away from Derek Jensen. Bill Moss and Art Still had the pressure on Plunkett.
Zamberlin, typical of a number of youngsters who come in here and had a chance to show that they can play. Look at him reading that pass, getting up in front right there of Derek Jensen, number 31, and batting that ball away. Beautiful timing by the defensive linebacker.
It's a very young defense for the Chiefs, but they move quickly to the ball, punting today far under their first 2 game averages.
Surprising. It's a beautiful day to kick the ball.
Guy aiming this one toward the sidelines. That looks very good.
No.
And just misses the corner into the end zone, as Guy off by about 2 yards from a coffin corner special. Kansas City will get the ball on the touchback at the 20-yard line. The Chiefs lead it 13-3. 4 minutes gone, 3rd quarter. Kansas City with a 13-3 lead starts from the 20-yard line. John Makovic, you had a nice chat with him yesterday, and we talked about all the Hall of Famers here in Kansas City. Which one would he taken to play on this team today?
Taking in his prime, he said Bobby Bell. Now, I expected him to say Mike Garrett. He didn't. He said Bobby Bell.
Blackledge. He has a man. And Carlos Carson, a first down across the 35 to about the 38. Bobby Bell was the pick for Kansas City. We'll tell you about Tom Flores. You ask him the same question.
We asked Flores now if he could take one of those players that were showcased on the field in their prime and add him to his roster today. And he showed you a little of his training, his background. He said, Otis Taylor. Like those receivers. Of course, he threw to those receivers. You know, he only threw 1 pass as a Kansas City Chief quarterback. 1 pass, 1 completion, 1 touchdown. And that was off a fake field goal.
He was here in 69 and 70. Ken Lacey bumped out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Played the USFL with the Michigan Panthers a couple of years. Lacey, his first carry as a Chief. Today's game is brought to you by Mazda and the full line of sophisticated Mazda products. By Ricoh Corporation, makers of automated office equipment and cameras. And by Pennzoil Motor Oil. Quality protection. Ask for it. With Merlin Olson, Dick Enberg on a magnificent Sunday afternoon in Kansas City. Temperature around 70 degrees, sunny skies, a bit of a autumn bite in the air. 13-3. The Chiefs lead the Raiders early in the 3rd quarter. Incomplete to Carson, covered by Mike Haynes on the far sidelines, and that'll bring up 3rd down and long.
Bill Piquel really took a shot on Blackledge's left knee, and Blackledge is picking that leg up and putting it down. Piquel coming in hard. Look at him here as he throws himself at the quarterback, arriving just as that ball turns loose. And boy, you see a lot of knee injuries coming out of that kind of action. Blackledge staying in the ballgame.
Other scores 3rd quarter. Seattle leading 23-14 after once being in front 23-0. Green Bay leads by a point over the Bears. Jets now rally to take the lead against Cincinnati 23-16. Atlanta, Minnesota tied at 13 in the 3rd. Here it's 13-3 Kansas City. Ooh, Blackledge almost fumbled that snap. Plenty of time. And penalty down on Otis McKinney. He was too soon. It looked to be a good call. It's a shame for the Raiders because even if the ball had been caught, it would not have been enough for a first down. So McKinney's mistake, had he just made the tackle, it wouldn't have been a first down anyway.
The timing was off on that play. In fact, so far off that McKinney, anticipating that pass would be thrown on time, jumped the ball on time, and the ball was so late getting there that he ended up causing the foul. And ordinarily, that pass is delivered much earlier. I've got to believe that maybe Todd Blackledge is being bothered by that leg a little bit, a little slow getting that ball off, and, well, it worked in his favor. McKinney very angry at the official and itself, but he did get there early.
Vikings have scored to regain the lead. Indianapolis leads by a field goal. Blitz is on. Brown. And Blackledge did a good job of unleashing that pass as Matt Millen, his former teammate at Penn State, came through untouched.
Millen picking him up off the ground, and you're right about Blackledge doing a good job on that play, but that's something a quarterback still remembers. He remembers seeing those defensive linebackers and seeing the backs come up at him here. He gets it off, shows a little maturity there, and then gets buried by Millen, who also picked him up off the ground. Relatively short gain on the play, 2nd and 6 yards to go, 5.5 yards to go.
5 defensive backs used by the Raiders. Lacey in the backfield now for Kansas City. This is Herman Hurd, and he has a first down at the 43. And that's what Kansas City has been lusting for, a back that has that kind of quickness and zip. They haven't had it since Joe Delaney, who tragically drowned 2 years ago.
You think the Kansas City Chiefs are paying any attention to number 77, Lyle Alzado? Watch here. Buddy and Herkenhoff double teaming right there to lock up Alzado and make room on the play for Herman Hurd. Let's see what Herman does here. Gets in behind the block of Buddy, 66 there. Breaks inside. Excellent play.
First down at the 44. Hurd again. And Bill Pickel, 71, from Rutgers, made the tackle.
That was Tom Condon, 65, leading that play as a trap, or as a blocker rather than Buddy, who was locked into the double team. But the 65 looking much like a 66. Condon, by the way, the only player on this entire roster who goes back to the Hank Stram era, starting in his 11th season here as a guard for these Chiefs.
Well, they saluted the great Chief players and teams of the past, and there's been a long drought, and this club that Mackovic is building really doesn't relate to the good days that Kansas City enjoyed. 2nd and 8. Going long. And complete to Stephon Page at the 16-yard line. Chiefs did a great job of picking up an all-out blitz and gave Blackledge plenty of time.
You've got to be able to pick up the heat, pick up the rush, and give your quarterback time to throw the football. There comes the blitz. Rod Martin on this side, Jeff Barnes on the other side. A full all-out blitz. That means man-to-man coverage. And they were able to take advantage of it. There's Martin. They got him. They got everyone. Alzado got in there late, but not till the ball was gone.
26 yards on the play. Here's Hurd. He went right underneath Lyle Alzado, and Alzado, look, where'd that guy go? And ducked into about the 16-yard line. Lyle says, you're too small. Send you to another league. I can't find you.
Reminiscent of Mike Garrett, a small back who played here many years. That was one of his famous tricks. He'd just duck under and hide behind all those big offensive linemen, and you never knew where he was.
Ball inside the 16-yard line. 2nd down and 8 for Kansas City. 9 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Carlos Carson, but it's short of a first down. Lester Hayes and Mike Davis were both there to cover for the Raiders at about the 12-yard line. It'll be a 3rd down and 5 to 6 yards for a first down.
Dick, we're seeing some personnel shifts in the Raider lineup. For example, we've seen very little of Reggie Kinlaw today. Bill Pickel has played almost exclusively at nose tackle. The reason for that is he's a better pass rusher. Kinlaw better against the run. And when you're playing a team like the Chiefs that pays so much attention to the passing game, you want the good pass rushers in there. Chiefs doing an excellent job of getting the ball downfield. Let's see if they can take advantage of it and get some points on the board.
Henry Marshall, who has not caught a pass, is to the right. Blackledge down the middle to Theodis Brown and had to throw it out of the end zone as he was well covered. So Nick Lowry comes in. Howie Long really made Blackledge unload early with good pressure.
Long working on Jim Rourke, big number 70, and Normally they have Lutz in there, who's really their best offensive lineman, their best tackle, but he's down with a knee injury. So it's given Jim Rourke a chance to play, and he's done a good job today, but not able to keep Howie locked up. There are very few offensive tackles who can do that in this league.
30-yard attempt by Lowry, who has 2 field goals in the first half, both shorter. It hit the upright, no good. Lowry's first miss this year, and it breaks a string of 13 in a row. So from 30 yards, Lowry kisses the upright.
And the first miss, well, is that inside the 30? I don't know.
Right
it's
on the 30.
On the 30. So he keeps his record intact. He's never missed inside the 30, and that one came as close as you can get, hitting the post and bouncing away.
So the Raiders still trail by only 10. Here in Kansas City, beat out Jan Centerud, but he has just missed a relatively easy 30-yard attempt, and it remains 13-3. Marcus Allen gains 5 to the 25-yard line. Emotionally, that miss by Lowry, will it have an impact?
Dick, I really believe that hurts the Chiefs. You look at the scoreboard, certainly they're up by 10 points, but they lost a chance to stretch it out there. And they also lost an opportunity to reestablish the momentum of the first half. I think the worst thing that happened so far today for the Chiefs was that they had to stop and go in at halftime. Things were going well for them.
Less than 7 minutes left in the third quarter, and Plunkett going long for Branch, just out of his reach. At midfield, Kevin Ross on the coverage. Art Still applying pressure for the Chiefs.
We've given a lot of mention to Still and the rest of those defensive linemen, and it's interesting, without Moss in the center, without the pressure from the inside, neither of those defensive ends can be as effective. And the reason for that is that it gives a quarterback, without pressure in the inside, quarterback has room to step up. When a quarterback can't step up, he is vulnerable to the outside rush of the defensive ends.
3rd down and 5 at the 25. Oh, that's interference. Todd Christensen hit by Lloyd Burris before the ball arrived. It'll be a first down at the 32-yard line.
That's a battle what he expected to be a good one between those two players, both intensely competitive and both good athletes.
Pass interference, defense, number 34, spot on the foul, first down.
Well, apparently something is going right for the officials here in the second half. Microphone's fixed. Jim Tunney talking to us. You'll see the tap right there. Ball is still in the air. Burris's arms wrapped around Todd Christensen, already be a 1st and 10.
Wide open is Christensen, and he's out of bounds at the 29-yard line. That's the biggest play of the day for the Los Angeles Raiders. 37 yards as Christensen has his 7th catch of the game.
7 catches today. He's only had 8 in the first 2 games. Certainly picking up the pace a little bit. No way to reach 92, which was his record for last year on the basis of only 4 per game, but here in the third quarter he's already caught his 7th today, Dick.
And would have had another but for the penalty on Burris, the interference. So trailing 13-3, Plunkett first down at the 29. Barnwell, and another first down at the 16-yard line, and suddenly Plunkett and the Raider passing machine is working very smoothly.
Something we often see in a game marked by emotion, especially when you see a young team in action. And I think maybe we'll see some of it today here in the second half, and that is that you burn off so much energy and you burn off so much enthusiasm that it's hard to keep the pace throughout the second half. That's something John Mackovic has to worry about.
First down at the 16-yard line. Plunkett, either a quarterback draw or a misplay.
Plunkett didn't get that ball cleanly from the center. He almost fumbled it and was so late getting his hands on it, knew he couldn't make the handoff, went right up the center. Here you'll be able to see it. Now watch Plunkett. He'll take this snap. He'll almost drop the football. He loses it right there. Look at that. Now it's too late. Now all the defensive linemen are reading the play, and Plunkett just stepped right up through the middle. It looked like almost like a planned play, but it wasn't.
A good ad-lib by Plunkett, and he gained over 5 yards. Marcus Allen. And he is close to a first down at about the 7. Gary Spaney led the defensive charge.
Man who must be feeling a little bit better about his team's performance. Al Davis, I'm sure, very angry at the way his team performed in the first half. The penalties, the mistakes, the sacks, and certainly not the kind of football that these Raiders have established as a championship team.
Indianapolis leading St. Louis by 6, 20-14. A couple of extra blockers in for the Raiders, and a couple defensive linemen added to the Chiefs front line on 3rd and 1. Number 93, Eric Holley, a rookie from Texas, got Allen from behind, but it appeared that Marcus had enough forward momentum to get to the 6-yard line. We may have a measurement for a first down.
They're going to bring it in. Shelby Jordan, 74, and a tight end on this side. The Raiders stacking big bodies side to side, but you see the penetration there. And had Marcus Allen not been going straight forward, if he had been going toward the sideline, he would not have been able to get down even close to that first down.
It is a first down. First and goal from the 6-yard line. With 5 minutes and 10 seconds left in the third quarter, the Raiders are just 6 yards away from reducing Kansas City's lead to 3.
You see a very calm exterior on Tom Flores on the sideline. He does provide that consistent, level feeling, but I would imagine he chewed pretty hard on his charges at halftime.
Frank Hawkins, Bill Moss, the #1 draft pick from Pitt, number 63, and Calvin Daniels, 50, hit Hawkins stone cold at the line of scrimmage. Now the Raiders threaten here in Kansas City. Let's go to New York.
All right, in the Meadowlands, the Jets are starting to stretch it out against the Bengals. Freeman McNeil over 130 yards on the day, his second touchdown this afternoon. This one of 33 yards, and suddenly the Jets are out in front by a score of 33-16.
So the Jets trying to make it 2-1. These two teams trying to go unbeaten through the first 3. Plunkett, a lot of time. Todd Christensen, it appeared that Charles Jackson, number 51, got a hand on the ball and deflected it through the fingertips of Christensen.
There's a holding call being assessed against the Raiders on that particular play. That's going to march off half the distance to the goal line, Dick, and give them let's see. Let's let the officials sort it out, and let's find out who was involved. But Christensen complained to the referee. I don't think it was on the men who were guarding Christensen.
Position to the goal line. First down.
Holding in the end zone. First and goal at the 3 after the half the distance mark off.
We did not see a flag anywhere near Christensen. It must have been on one of the other receivers.
Allen and Hawkins split wide behind Plunkett. Plunkett to Christensen for the touchdown. So a long well-determined, well-executed drive by the Raiders, and they are very much right back in the game. 3 yards on the touchdown throw to Christensen.
You kind of feel some of the enthusiasm ebbing from this capacity crowd as Christensen gathers the ball into his hands for his 8th reception of the day, his first touchdown of the day.
His 2nd touchdown this year. Barr's try for point. Blocked! Oh, that could be a very big play. Calvin Daniels.
Yes, number 50, Calvin Daniels bursting in, and someone is hurt on the play. We've got a Kansas City Chief on the ground. But Daniels looking much like another celebrated linebacker out of his same school, Lawrence Taylor, as he bursts in there. Look at him coming in from the left side, or the right side of your screen.
Daniels, number 50, came in over the offensive left side, made the block. He and Lawrence Taylor were teammates at North Carolina. And Daniels gets some of the momentum back for the Chiefs. The score now, Kansas City 13, Los Angeles 9. 5 minutes to drive 80 yards in 10 plays. Much of the yardage on passes to Christensen, and he gathered in the 3-yard touchdown throw. Barr, whose extra point was blocked. Larry Ricks from Michigan at the 2. And he cannot get to the 20. Good coverage by the Raiders. Jeff Barnes and Ted Watts stop him at the 18-yard line. So leading 13-9. Kansas City will put it in play when we return. Walter Payton with 80 yards against the Packers today, so he's only 367 behind Jim Brown's all-time record. Franco Harris has 15 yards today rushing for Seattle. Draw play. Billy Jackson is out across the 20, a gain of 3 or 4. Bill Pickell made the tackle. You really can notice, Merlin, the lack of running speed for the Kansas City backs. Only Hurd really has that pop that can break loose the long gain, and explains why Kansas City's rushing average is so low, around 3.5 per carry.
Well, and they're hoping to get some help from Herman Hurd, who has speed, and also from Ken Lacey, who had a 5.1 average, was the 3rd leading rusher in the USFL, but has been so beat up that he really has not been able to do much for the Chiefs.
Almost intercepted by Mike Haynes, who was covering the intended receiver J.T. Smith. And Haynes said, "Oh, I don't get many chances like that." He wasn't really looking for the ball that quickly.
Just get a feeling that the timing is not quite there for Blackledge, who started this game having things kind of his way, but has not really thrown the ball that well since the first quarter of this game. And a couple of passes batted away like that could easily have been intercepted by the Los Angeles Raiders.
3rd down and 7. And out of the shotgun, Blackledge. 4 wide receivers in for Kansas City. Open is Hancock, but I don't know if he got the first down. He did not. He's going to be a yard short.
Hancock, you saw him angry at himself on the sideline. A receiver's responsibility in that situation is to get the yardage for the first down. He has room as he works one-on-one on Mike Davis, number 45, and you see him looking down right there, and he knew it. He knew it right then.
With 2:51 left in the quarter, Jim Arnold to punt. Ooh, that was close to being blocked. Lester Hayes was in. Greg Pruitt fumbles. And down he goes at the 32-yard line. Ken Jolly, a rookie from Mid-America Nazarene in nearby Olathe, Kansas. Boy, talk about a long shot to make the National Football League. Jolly, well, he didn't make Greg Pruitt happy, but that was a big play. It'll be the Raiders' ball, trailing by 4 with 2:42 remaining in the 3rd quarter when we return to Arrowhead. With 2:42 left in the 3rd quarter, a chance to play a little NFL trivia. The Raiders and the Chiefs They were involved in the very last American Football League game played. That was before the merger, the '69 AFL Championship. Who scored the last AFL points ever? And with a hint, he still is active as an NFL player. The last points scored in the American Football League were by whom? We'll give you the answer in a bit. There's the Kansas City version of the wave.
Interesting how emotion can turn on single plays, and looking back, that blocked extra point had to pick up the Chiefs a little bit after they gave up that touchdown. Let's see what their defense can do against the Raiders here.
Plunkett, good protection. And Cliff Branch has his first catch out at the 50-yard line. An 18-yard gain.
Branch is such an exceptional player. Always seems to come and give you a little bit of pickup when you're having problems. I think one of the reasons he can do that, Dick, and we mentioned it earlier, he has so much respect from defensive backs because of the speed that he can show you, that they just give him room. And a quarterback usually can find him for a shot across the middle that way.
Doki Williams gives Branch a breather. Here's Marcus Allen. Oh, what a move. Picking his way to the Kansas City 43-yard line. A gain of about 7 for Allen before Art Still can drag him down along with John Zamberlin.
Going back to the line of scrimmage, in order to make a play like that work, you have to pin down the defensive lineman. That's Lawrence, 70, working on Still, and you see he's got a handful of jersey there, but still only able to get out after Marcus had clearly gotten well outside. And you said move. I think we better make that plural. I think Marcus put about 5 moves on that particular play, Dick.
Kenny King and Marcus Allen behind Plunkett. It's Allen again, and a first down at the Kansas City 38-yard line. Calvin Daniels, submarine for the tackle, along with Gary Spaney. Branch returns to the L.A. Raider huddle. We'll give you the answer to that trivia question. Last point scored in just a moment.
Some good popping going on in the center. You see Still on the left side, and you see the speed with which those linemen are hammering each other. We usually show you those replays at slower speeds, and you don't always appreciate the velocity and the kind of collisions that are taking place on the line of scrimmage.
Los Angeles.
Jim Plunkett comes to the line of scrimmage, checks the defense, and uses a timeout. It comes with 40 seconds remaining in the third quarter. The defending champions, Los Angeles Raiders, trailing here in Kansas City 13-9. And Tom Flores and Plunkett, a couple of quarterbacks deliberating this upcoming call. Flores, if he's successful today, will have won his 50th game in just a little over 5 years as the head coach of the Raiders.
I think it has to help a quarterback to have a head coach who is also a former quarterback, who really understands the pressures and the anxieties of being out there and being in charge. And it's good to remind people again that Jim Plunkett is one of the few quarterbacks in the NFL who still calls his own plays on the field. Most offensive teams signal in their plays or send them in with receivers. Plunkett still makes the calls on the field.
He has a first down call at the 38. Well, just as Flores, an ex-quarterback, so is John Mackovic, a former Atlantic Coast Conference All-Conference quarterback at Wake Forest. Marcus Allen going to throw, and there's Christensen open, but Allen hurrying his pass because that same number 67, Art Still, was in the way. He has had a fantastic game for Kansas City. Still has been around the ball all afternoon.
Dick, he did not play extremely well in 1983. One of the reasons was that his weight had dropped clear down to 238 pounds. He was on a diet that consisted mostly of fruit. He stayed away from meat, and he's gone back now to eating more food. He said, I eat almost all day long. He's beefed up over 260 pounds and much stronger today.
Kenny King, and he's brought down by Charles Jackson and company. This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Kansas City Chiefs and the National Football League is prohibited. A near sellout, if not a total sellout crowd of 78,000 at beautiful Arrowhead Stadium on this terrific football day, and apparently that will be the last play of the third quarter. There's the gun, the end of the quarter. We go to the fourth period in Kansas City. Well, maybe not quite yet. Let's hold on. 1 second on the clock before we break away. Let's see whether or not the officials have called a timeout. Nice to hear the music anyway. It's a classic day.
It's the kind of music that goes with the beautiful blue sky and a light breeze that has kept everyone cool and comfortable here today, including the many fans who jammed Arrowhead Stadium.
Actually, the official attendance now, more than one, 75,111. It's the 9th largest crowd in Arrowhead history.
Zebras having their own meeting on the field, and there will be one more play before we go to the quarter.
No, that's 1 second. He wound it down, and that is the end of the third quarter.
1 second.
Boy, I would never want to see you in one of those striped uniforms. We couldn't trust you at all. That is the end of the third quarter. Finally, with a score in Kansas City, 13-9. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. The largest crowd ever here was 82,000 12 years ago that saw the Chiefs and the Raiders play in that game. Kansas City prevailed. There were over 4,000 standing room tickets. That shows how packed this place was. We're going to give you the answer to our trivia question in a moment, but as we open the fourth quarter, here's the situation. The Raiders trail Kansas City 13-9. This is 3rd down and 6 at the 34 of Kansas City for the Raiders. Kansas City was offside, and Bill Moss gets Plunkett, but that will be for naught as the Chiefs lurched offside on the snap count.
Defense 67, yes.
They're going to call Art Still as the man who jumped early.
Jake!
So instead of a sack and a 4th down out of field goal range, Art Still and a leaning offside on anticipating the snap count.
Offside, number 67. 5 yards, still 3rd down.
So it'll be 3rd and 1 instead of 4th and about 14.
You get the feeling, Dick, that the Chiefs defense, which has given up a great deal of yardage in their first 2 games, again allowing an offense to penetrate their territory, and now unless they can get a turnover, Raiders may get a point.
Marcus Allen has a 1st down and more to the 26-yard line. In behind the double tight ends, Todd Christensen and Dave Casper. Well, the last point scored back in the 1969 AFL Championship, the last game played in the old AFL, were by whom? Well, here is the visual answer. Number 3 of the Kansas City Chiefs, John Stenerud, 22-yard field goal. As I recall, that was the final score in a 17-7 win for the Chiefs and sent them to the Super Bowl where they beat the Minnesota Vikings. That moment, the last scoring play of the old AFL. Jan Stenerud, the answer, still kicking with the Minnesota Vikings. Plunkett going long for Branch. And that's going to be interference in the end zone. Kevin Ross was beaten on the play, had to hurry back and made contact before the ball arrived.
Kevin Ross has played extremely well in this game. 71-yard return for a touchdown, has made a couple of other bright plays.
Pass interference, defense, number 31 in the end zone. Ball
But he showed us right there again that he is a rookie. Branch got him turned around, and Ross coming back, trying to recover. Look at him here. Arrives before the football. No choice for the referee. He's got to throw the flag.
So it's 1st and goal for the Raiders at the 1-yard line in a penalty-filled game. Both teams over 100 yards. No coach likes to see that statistic in double figures. Hawkins dives in for the touchdown. And the Raiders lead for the first time today.
Dick, we attributed some of what we saw in the first half to the fact that the Raiders were not up to speed. But there's something else that really has an impact, and that is that this Raider team is so big and so physical that they just beat on you and beat on you until it begins to take its effect, and usually that's in the second half as their physical pounding and superiority begins to take effect.
Barr, whose last extra point was blocked, nails that one, and for the first time the Raiders see themselves in front. The score now, Los Angeles 16, Kansas City 13 on Frank Hawkins' 3rd touchdown of the year. So after leading 13-0, the Raiders have scored 16 unanswered points and now lead Kansas City 16-13 as Barr will kick it off. Oh, an onside kick, and Barr himself covers it, but not in time.
I think they may say he touched it before it went a full 10 yards.
Or that the Raiders were offside. It did appear that that far side, that there were several men in front of Barr before he made contact. Barr, the ball had gone 10 yards when he fell on it. Now they'll untangle.
Let's see what Barr actually did on that play. An interesting and a perfectly placed kick. Barr faking the long kick. Dribbles the ball. Now it's got to go past the 45-yard line. Now I think what they might rule is that Barr himself was not past the yard line. The ball has traveled the 10 yards. Barr says there's no way. The ball went beyond the yard stripe, and we've got a Raider player still on the ground out there.
They're saying that Derek Jensen, 31, touched the ball before Barr.
Well, maybe it touched his heels as they ran out in front of that ball. Can we look at it again? Maybe we can see that. Let's take another angle of that last play and see if we can see that from our shots. This is the shot from the end zone. Players coming in now.
I don't think it touched Jensen. I thought perhaps that somebody on the far side might have been offside, but that's the only thing that we could see a flag for.
We've got another shot from the sideline. Maybe we'll be able to see it here, Dick. 31. Derek Jensen, the man they say that the ball touched, and then watching him streak. Well, it
may have touched the side of his foot.
May have touched the side of his foot. Very hard for us to see from here.
Nevertheless, a 5-yard penalty, and the element of surprise is now gone. Or the Raiders really had caught the Chiefs with their backs to the ball. High kick. Larry Ricks at the 8. And again, the coverage for the Raiders outstanding, as it was last week against Green Bay. High kicks by Barr and terrific coverage. The youngster from Notre Dame, number 30, Stacy Turan, in on the play. Today's game brought to you by the new Chrysler Corporation. We don't want to be the biggest, we just want to be the best. By Midas, for mufflers, for brakes and shocks, trust the Midas touch. And by Burroughs Corporation. The question isn't who's bigger, it's who's best. Boy, the Jets are really rumbling now. Well, first of all, New England down 23-0 has taken the lead 24-23. And there's the Jet score, 43-16, as they've ripped that one wide open. They were trailing 16-13. Blackledge complete to Carson at the 26-yard line. Well, let's see how young Blackledge and this Kansas City offense works when they're fighting to gain the lead.
Well, in our conversations with John Mackovic, he said, you know, we'll find out more about ourselves in adversity than we will in winning. And certainly they're faced now with the downside of of the 16-13 score and a chance to prove how they respond to that situation. They've come from behind both their first two games to win.
Gain of 7 on that first play. Theodis Brown, the only running back. It's Brown into the arms of Bill Packel. They're saying a fumble, but it was after the whistle. The ball forward progress marked right at the 30, which will be close to a first down. Tom Flores, the first Hispanic head coach in the National Football League. And it's interesting that his counterpart, John Mackovic, his major at Wake Forest was Spanish, so they can communicate however they please, in English or Spanish after this game. They are admirers of one another, that is for certain.
Now, Mackovic certainly one who studies very closely the success of the Raider organization and really a fan of the kind of job that Al Davis and Tom Flores have done in taking their team to such great success.
Theodis Brown had enough forward progress for a first down. 16-13, the Raiders lead. Good protection. And complete. Henry Marshall, the veteran from Missouri, his first catch today, his 277th in his fine career. Let's go from Kansas City to New York.
All right, Dick, you've got a good one going at Arrowhead and a tremendous comeback by the Patriots, but watch a big play here by Seattle. Irving Fryer on the reverse. A great play by Bruce Schultz going through Tony Eason. He used to do that for Fred Akers down in Texas, but the Patriots kicked the field goal. They lead it by 1.
Remarkable comeback by New England that seemed to be out of it 23-0. And here another comeback. The Raiders trailing 13-0 now have the lead 16-13. 2nd and 2. Almost intercepted. Lester Hayes and 3 other Raiders were closer to the ball than Stephon Page.
Talking to Van McElroy about Todd Blackledge, he said one thing that was very obvious in the film: he will throw into the crowd. He's not afraid to throw it into the crowd. And here's a perfect example of that as he fired to a receiver well covered and got it into a situation where it could have been intercepted. Hayes dropping off, and I think that's zone. He's going for the deep zone right there. They ran right by. Stephon Page is going deep. The ball is going short. Almost intercepted.
3rd down 2. Oh, what a play by Carlos Carson. He took it right away from Lester Hayes. Oh, my.
I don't think Hayes can believe it yet. Hayes was sure that he had an interception. And Carson did a magician's act. Picked his pocket. You won't see many plays like this one ever in the NFL. Hayes has perfect position. Takes the ball. And look at Carlos, just reaches in, strips it away. I think he caught it behind his back when it finally popped loose. Another shot. Look at the ball. He reached in and absolutely stripped it away from Lester Hayes.
14-yard steal by Carson.
Indeed.
First down at the 49 of the Raiders. Uh-oh, here comes Rod Martin. And Blackledge makes the tackle at the 39-yard line. Rod Martin.
They got away with it once. They got away with it twice. The third one went back the other direction, and Todd Blackledge, who'd only had 1 interception coming into this game, suffers through his second. This pass thrown to a receiver that was well covered as Rod Martin had dropped back and found himself right in front of the receiver. He knows how to put that ball in his hands and head upfield.
So Rod Martin, a great defensive player with a big interception. The Raiders have the ball at the Kansas City 38. Rod Martin, who was injured earlier in the game, but certainly all right, feeling mighty good now with his 11th career interception. First down Raiders inside the Kansas City 39. Marcus Allen, a first down at the 27-yard line.
We mentioned earlier,
finally made the hit.
Excuse me, Dick. We mentioned earlier that inside, Don Mospar, starting at right tackle, has only had a couple of starts. Look how quickly he is out on the linebacker. Getting good penetration right there. That's John Zamberlin, 56. And I believe that Malcolm Barnwell helped to make that tackle. Looked like they ran right, Marcus ran right into his back.
First final of the day, and the Bears are 3-0, beating Green Bay on a field goal by Bob Thomas in the fourth quarter, 21-yarder. Plunkett to King. And Gary Spaney just did get enough of him at the 15. King was on his way, or at least he thought, when Spaney made the tackle. A first down again for the Raiders, who now are moving almost at will.
Dick, one of the things that we knew coming into this ball game was that Bill Moss had a bad ankle. It's kept him from working as hard as he would like to during the week. And on this particular series, and as we've gotten into the second half, he has not been able to get as much pressure up the middle. As a result, Plunkett's having more room. He can step up. He can see his receivers better, and the results are obvious.
Leading 16-13, the Raiders with 9:25 left in the game. First down at the 16. King. And a good play made by 99, Mike Bell. His twin brother Mark, defensive end at Seattle, now with the Colts, who are leading St. Louis 33-24 in the fourth quarter. The Colts trying to go 2-1. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. Second down, 11. The Raiders deep in Kansas City territory, trying to add to their 16-13 lead. Good protection. Wide open is Malcolm Barnwell. And finally bumped out of bounds at the 6-yard line. That will be very close to a first down as Albert Lewis made the hit, and Barnwell wide open coming back.
See how much room Malcolm Barnwell has to operate. He too has excellent speed. You see the one-on-one situation there. Romano doing a good job on Moss. And look, when we first opened up, not a single defender in sight. They finally arrived, but not until Barnwell had a fine gain. We'll have a third and short yardage situation just inside the 7-yard line of the Chiefs.
Third down and a yard. Frank Hawkins, he didn't make it, I don't believe. He ran into something very solid. I believe it was Art Still.
Or Art moving, I'm not so sure. Whatever he hit sure stopped his forward momentum. They tried to run in behind Henry Lawrence and Big Don Mospar on that side, but they did not get anywhere. The Chiefs had gone to a 4-man line. Fuzzy Kramer was also in there. They were able to stop that play. Dave Lindstrom, 71 in as well on that particular short yardage play, and the Raiders will try and put it up for a 3-pointer.
A 24-yard attempt by Barr that would give the Raiders a 6-point lead. So Barr is 2 for 2, and that's 19 straight points scored by the Los Angeles Raiders. But for Kansas City, they did not give up a touchdown, so they are themselves within a touchdown of the lead. 8:07 left.
A lot of people think America can't cut the mustard anymore. That
The Raiders lead 19-13. This is like La Boheme. No matter where the Raiders take their show, it always ends up with Mimi dying at the end. They play poorly in the first half and a different team in the second half. That's been the story 3 straight games. Larry Ricks, and again, can't make it, just does make it to the 20-yard line. Caldwell, Barnes, and Jensen all with a tackle. First down for Todd Blackledge. First half was Kansas City's. They led 13-0, then finally 13-3, and it's been all Raiders here in the second half. And that's exactly what happened in Houston, exactly what happened last week in Los Angeles against Green Bay. So look at this scoring. That tells the story.
That'll explain things very, very easily to you. Look what they have done to their opponents in the second half. Not only have they managed to score all but 10 of their 71 points in the final 2 stanzas, but they have only allowed a single giveaway touchdown in the late seconds in Houston in that same period of time.
Otis Brown for about 4 yards, maybe 5 at the 24. Lyle Alzado made the tackle. And we talked about the emotion, the youth, home field advantage of Kansas City and measuring themselves against the best team in football, the Los Angeles Raiders. And now they're in the 4th quarter and within a touchdown, but fading.
Well, they certainly have demonstrated that they have a lot of the capability that they need to become not only a contender but a potential champion in this league. It's obvious that they do not yet have the overall balance, have the overall depth to go head-to-head with the Raiders, and since they're in the same division, that's what they have to do in order to win and go on into the Super Bowl.
Going long, open is Carson, and it's incomplete as Lester Hayes blindly did a good job of shielding the ball away from Carson.
Well, you hear boos from the fans, but Lester is doing his job. He will not be called for a penalty as long as he does not put up both hands and wave them. He does not know when that ball is going to arrive. He's playing man-to-man. He's covering the man all the way, and he did not have a chance to figure out where that ball was. He just put his body cleanly between himself and between the receiver and the quarterback, and it bounced away.
Trailing at one time 16-13, the Jets rally for a big win at Giant Stadium, 43-23. That's a final.
We have 4 wide receivers again, Dick. Let's see if Blackledge can find. Oh, he dropped it.
He gets away from one man, now looking for help, and it's incomplete to Stephon Page, as Blackledge did a good job of just saving the big loss. Jeff Barnes, 56, was in on a blitz.
Well, I'm sure that Blackledge is thinking about patterns. Has got to do first things first. You got to get that football before you can throw it. Blackledge able to get it, but by that time the patterns were broken down. Wow, Jeff Barnes just leveled him. And that's physical Raider football. A clean, hard hit in that particular situation, and one that Todd Blackledge will remember.
Arnold, a wobbly kick toward Pruitt at the 39, fumbles, and then covers it at the 40. That's 2 that he's bobbled. He's come up with both. Ken McAllister covering for Kansas City. Early score, Detroit leading Tampa Bay 7-0. We have a timeout, 6:51 left. And here in Kansas City, the Raiders lead by 6. Their 50th meeting in their history that dates back to the American Football League, the Raiders and the Chiefs. Certainly a top rivalry. Kansas City emotionally sparked by a 71-yard interception for a touchdown by Kevin Ross, led 13-0 into the final seconds of the half, but it's now 19-13 Raiders. Plunkett intercepted. No. Yes, it is good. Lloyd Burris got both feet down. Lloyd Burris.
Burris was a questionable starter today because of a hamstring injury. Has had his problems containing Todd Christensen, his primary responsibility. Todd's been a factor today, but here he does exactly what the Kansas City Chiefs need him to do. Takes the football away from Christensen and gives them a chance. They're one big play away from going into the lead in this game.
And what an alert play. Look how he has the presence to get both those toes down before going out of bounds. And Burris with a 4th interception against Plunkett today. 2 by Cherry, 1 for a touchdown by Ross, and now first down at the Raider 45. With 6:45 left in the game. Complete to Brown. And Otis Brown has a first down at the 34. That crowd is back in the game.
Well, I know where Todd Blackledge is going to spend a good part of his day off. I know where he'll be tomorrow. He's going to be in the whirlpool. He's been hit an awful lot of times, even though he hasn't been sacked that much today. On that play, Howie Long cracked him, knocked him down. We've seen him knocked down a number of times, but he's doing what he has to do. He's getting that ball to his receivers on that particular play anyway. Let's see if he can continue to do it.
Herman Hurd, the rookie, the only running back. It's Hurd. with blocking. And he has about 10 more. Van McElroy finally bumped him out of bounds. Another final score is in. And Minnesota has its first win of the year, 27-20. And Jan Stenerud, the former Chiefs kicker, a 54-yard field goal in that game, a Viking record.
Still showing some good range. I mentioned how many years he's been kicking the ball, and Jan is still able to put him across from outside the 50.
12-yard pickup by Herman Hurd. He makes a difference with his speed. 22-yard line. Blackledge needs 6 to tie. Going deep. And a flag is down, and I believe this is going to be against Lester Hayes. David Little, a rookie from Middle Tennessee, had a step on the defense, but the pass too long from Blackledge, and Lester Hayes and Carlos Carson over on the near sidelines away from the play and holding against Hayes.
Lester, I think, concerned that Carlos was getting away, put the clamps on him. That'll be a first down and 5-yard penalty. And Dick.
Holding, number 37, 5 yards, first down.
If you're on the Raiders sideline and looking back over your shoulder, suddenly that missed extra point by Barr becomes a very, very big factor in this game.
Calvin Daniels blocking the Barr extra point in the third quarter. First down at the 17 for Kansas City. Raiders were offside. Billy Jackson. Look at him go to the 8-yard line. The Raiders, knowing they were offside, may have relaxed a bit, and Jackson gets about 10.
Billy Jackson doing a good job, and it, in essence, is a free play for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Probably take the yardage instead of the penalty, you'd think.
Well, they'll have to give up the...
Offside, defense, number 53, defined, second down.
They give up the down to do it, but they're close enough to the first down. They're willing to part with the down. They'll be second and about a yard to go inside the 10-yard line. Chance to get a first and move on down.
We welcome those of you who have seen the New York Jets rally and then win big against the Cincinnati Bengals. Here, the Raiders lead Kansas City 19-13, but the Chiefs have the ball, 2nd and 1 at the 8-yard line of the Super Bowl champions with 5:37 left in the game. Deotis Brown, a first down and goal for Kansas City. An emotional weekend celebrating the 25th anniversary of this franchise. The Kansas City Chiefs and some 75,000 plus packed into Arrowhead Stadium on a beautiful football afternoon. The Chiefs led 13-0 until a Raider field goal at the end of the first half made it 13-3. And then Los Angeles, 16 unanswered points in this half to lead 19-13, but missed an extra point, and that is the difference between a full touchdown lead and only the 6 they now have. Herman Hurd. Is he in? Touchdown! Rookie Herman Hurd, who had carried only 9 times prior to today, has his first NFL touchdown, and the game is tied at 19.
And you sense this crowd returning to the action as we line up for the 1 point that could make the difference in this ball game. Lowry has put one into the upright earlier on a field goal. They need this extra point.
They've got it. Burris's interception of Plunkett at the Los Angeles 45. And Blackledge takes his team in 5 plays, 2 minutes with Hurd, the capper, from 5 yards out. Chris Barr had an extra point attempt blocked by Calvin Daniels, and that now is the difference in the game with 4 minutes and 44 seconds left for Plunkett and the Raiders to try to regain the lead.
Sam Bogosian along with Tom Flores, Plunkett on the sideline, and a veteran team doesn't really panic in a situation like this. A lot of time on the clock. They've got a chance to get it, bring it back. Let's see what the Raiders do when they go to work.
Well, last year in the 2 meetings, both games, the Raiders led 21-20 in the final minutes, and Kansas City had a chance to kick a field goal to take the lead in both, and failed on one, failed on another, and eventually gave up an interception as well, as they lost 21-20 and 28-20. Now they lead 20-19.
Well, Dick, Kansas City is the only team over the last 5 years that the Raiders have played more than one time that can say that they lead in the series. They've won 5 of the last 9 games against the Raiders.
Nick Lowry to kick it to Montgomery and Williams. Yoki Williams at the goal line. And he returns to the 25-yard line. Dave Little, one of those in on the play, along with J.T. Smith. 25-yard return. Jim Plunkett, and the Raiders take over at that point. Plunkett has been intercepted, as you see, 4 times today. One of those, a 71-yard touchdown return by rookie Kevin Ross, a cornerback from Temple. That the other big play for Kansas City today.
And if you trace the losses by the Raiders during the 1983 season, they were directly attributable to turnovers and mistakes by the Raiders.
Now the crowd trying to help the defense. Christensen, who has had a field day to the 31, a 6-yard gain. John Zamberlin, number 56, made the tackle.
Right at the end of this play, linebacker Spaney will be working on Christensen. Good job of looking the defenders off. Zamberlin, Spaney just pushing into the ground. I think angry that they were not able to get closer. They had good coverage on top of that play.
Here's Frank Hawkins. He's stopped at the 34-yard line. Another point in recapping the events of this game for those who have joined us. With the lead 16-13, the Raiders had the ball 3rd and 1 just outside the Kansas City 5 and could not make the 1 yard and a first down, had to settle for a field goal to make it 19-13, and that also opened the door, the defense of Kansas City, for the Chiefs' drive to take the lead. 3rd down and 1. Here's a similar situation, although not on the goal line. And it's Marcus Allen, and he doesn't. Well, wait. They may be marking that right at the 30 and a first down.
I don't believe he made it, Dick. It looked like the defense stuffed him again on that play. Good, solid play on the line of scrimmage for the Kansas City Chiefs, and we said early that that's where the strength of this defense is.
They will measure.
There's the surge by the Kansas City defense, and Bill Moss, number 63, stacking up Romano in the center, and he was the pivotal man there to keep that big mass of humanity on the line. Game of inches, isn't it? Guessing where that ball was down. Oh my.
You all right?
Now, 4th down and about an inch and a half.
They're going to go for it, Merlin.
Flores is going to send in an extra tight end.
With 3:18 left, duck in another final. Seattle leading 23-0 late in the first half, loses to New England 38-23. Oh, what a comeback for the Patriots. Well, here's the game for the Raiders if they don't make it. But Marcus Allen gets 2 yards yards and a first down. And if Allen had one more vault left in him, he had a touchdown, as there was no one left. Clock running, less than 3 minutes left.
That's a test of your courage as a coach to make a call like that, and yet you really don't have many choices. They're not in this game to look good. They're in this game to win. It's particularly important for Flores and the Raiders because this is a divisional game, and in the tie-breaking procedure carries more weight than the games that are out of division.
First down at the 32. Plunkett with time. Oh, what a hit. Is that a completed pass? No signal yet. No, it's incomplete is the ruling. And what a hit by Albert Lewis. Looked like a chin strap went about 7 yards back toward the Raider goal line.
That's the kind that Plunkett will apologize for when they look at the film. And
wait a minute, they're going to call that a completed pass?
Oh, I think we've got a penalty down, Dick. That's what they're pointing on.
The pass was incomplete. Holding number 70, offensive pass interference 21.
So 2 penalties assessed against the Raiders, holding against Henry Lawrence, number 70, and offensive pass interference against number 21, Cliff Branch. Gary Spaney, number 59, getting the options from referee Jim Tunney.
Beautiful day and a magnificent crowd in Kansas City, and it's good to see this kind of football enthusiasm returning to this city with great early traditions, winning traditions, a Super Bowl. Number 4, Henry Lawrence is angry. Ball is marked back to the 27-yard line.
You mentioned the pressure of the defensive ends, and Lawrence's job to keep Art Still out of the face of his quarterback.
And Still has had a big game. Number 67 in red. Gary Spaney, number 59, made the play. The man was open, but Spaney, drifting back, got a hand on it and deflected it incomplete.
Dick, this is where the crowd works for you at home. You make a mistake. If you're a Raider, you get this ball tipped away. It's not really a mistake. It's just a great play by Gary Spaney. Otherwise, that ball is complete to Branch. And this crowd responds, and it intensifies the feeling of frustration for the offense.
2 minutes, 20 seconds left. Second and long. And what a throw by Plunkett to Barnwell out at the 44-yard line. And for the second time today, the veteran Plunkett on his way down has thrown a perfect strike.
Now that is amazing that Plunkett is able to get that ball on target. Watch it here. He is on his way to the ground. Now, the fact that he threw that ball where it could be caught by Barnwell is truly amazing.
Barnwell has had a good day, as has Christensen. Christensen with 9 catches, and Barnwell has 6.
Well, they're not out of the woods yet. They've got to convert on a 3rd down here. They've got 3rd and about 1.5 yards to go.
Incomplete to Barnwell. That call was a little surprising on 3rd and 2. Now 4th and 2 at the 2:08 mark.
Well, we said earlier that the Raiders, one of the few teams that allow their quarterback to make the calls in the huddle, and Plunkett usually right on the same page as Tom Flores. Flores himself may have second-guessed that call. As it is, they're going to have a crucial 4th down now. They made the first one in this series. Let's see if they can make it again. A little bit further to go this time.
Listen to this crowd as many are on their feet. Two. Complete to Allen, and there are flags all over the field. Allen down at the Kansas City 48. A first down if it counts. And apparently the penalty is against Kansas City.
Raiders signaling, and there it is. Apparently against, it looked like it was in the area of Marcus Allen as he made that little move out of the backfield and cut across in front of Plunkett. Penalties really didn't matter in this case because he caught the pass anyway.
Holding 21 defense decline. Result of the play is a first down.
First down at the 48 with 2 minutes and a second left. Another final and well, not a final yet, with 7 seconds left. Neil O'Donoghue has kicked a field goal to give the Cardinals a 34-33 lead against the Colts. That's with 7 seconds left. Here it's 20-19, Kansas City. First down. Plunkett going for it all to Barnwell. And he's got it out of bounds at the 7-yard line. And we have the 2-minute warning at 1:54 as Plunkett hits Barnwell on the run.
The vertical game, the long bomb. And how many times have we seen Plunkett hook it up to his deep receivers? Barnwell beating Kerry Parker, number 21. And what about Tom Flores? It's in the air, and there it is. All right.
And you say he's not emotional. Well, if this fantastic finish isn't enough, how about one of those fantastic finishes of yesteryear?
Alcoa presents Fantastic Finishes. 1980 Bart Starr's Packers have a chance to beat the Bears in overtime. Chester Marcole's kick is up and blocked. The ball bounces back into Marcole's hands. Nothing for Chester to do now but tuck it in and run. He picks up a needed block along the way and cruises 25 yards into the end zone. The Packers win 12-6 on their own blocked field goal on the game's final play.
Now that's an instant replay.
Chris Barr strolling the sidelines saying, get me a extra point tried rather that than a field goal. It's 21-20, Kansas City. Barr has hit his 2 field goal attempts. Of course, the Raiders ideally would like to chew up some time, stay on the ground, knock that clock down, and then get a touchdown as well. Let's see how they play it. They don't want to score too soon. Marcus Allen is down at the 5-yard line. A gain of 1, and the clock is running. 1:45, 1:44 left. We welcome those of you that have seen New England with a tremendous rally and the victory against the Seattle Seahawks. We have a dramatic finale here in Kansas City. The Chiefs have scored late to take a 2019 lead, and now with a timeout, the Raiders are 2nd and goal at the 5-yard line. Here's how the game developed. The Chiefs, sparked by a 71-yard interception for a touchdown by rookie cornerback Kevin Ross, took a 13-0 lead into the final seconds of the half when Chris Barr kicked a 43-yard field goal, 13-3 at the half. And then the second half was all Raiders, much as they have played their first 2 games this year. Not much in the first half, but dominating in the second half. The Raiders came back to score 16 unanswered points, then 19 to take a 19-13 lead. Then Plunkett was intercepted at his own 45 by Burris. Hurd, the rookie running back from Southern Colorado, scored to give the Chiefs the 2019 lead. And now on the possession after the kickoff, the Raiders have made 2 fourth-down situations, and now with a long pass to Barnwell to the 7-yard line, have it 2nd and goal at the 5 with 1:32 left.
And after a very slow start, the Raiders have indeed turned up the heat. And as you said, very aggressively went after 2 fourth downs, one deep in their own territory and a second one with about 1.5 yards to go to keep this drive alive, to give Plunkett a chance to hit Barnwell and set up potential scoring points that will win the game for them.
Marcus Allen up the middle to the 2-yard line. And the clock running with 1:21 left.
And the one thing you cannot do if you're the Los Angeles Raiders here is cough up the football. Marcus Allen had both arms wrapped around that football, and that's dangerous when you're propped up that way and people are whacking on you. They're reaching for that football. They're trying to strip it. Very easy to get that ball knocked away.
In the first half, while outscored 13-3, the Raiders had a plus 30 yards in offense. Then to show how they dramatically have controlled the second half, well, maybe not so much. 236 to 152. It certainly seems like they've moved the ball more effectively in this half.
And for the 3rd week in a row, the the Kansas City Chiefs losing dramatically in the battle of statistics, and yet as of this moment they are still ahead on the scoreboard by a score of 20-19. And Chris Barr just hoping to have one more chance at a kick. He's remembering the missed extra point, and it's unfortunate that we tend to focus in on the one missed kick. He's had 2 good field goals on the day, but of course he's remembering, as we are, the missed extra point, and not his fault. It was just blocked by an excellent job by Daniels sweeping in from the outside.
The timeout situation is critical. The Chiefs have 1 left. The Raiders have 2. 3rd and goal. Allen. He didn't make it. And now the Chiefs will spend their final timeout, or will they? Because the clock is running, 1:05, and now timeout. A late call by the Chiefs. About 6-7 seconds got away. 1:03 left. They stopped the clock.
An irony, Dick, that the last game last year for these 2 teams came down to a final kick opportunity at a field goal by the Chiefs, who could have won that game. The field goal was blocked, and they ended up losing 21-20. Situation exactly reversed here. Coming down to the final seconds of the game, a chance for Barr to go in and put his team on top by 2, but he's kicking it from a bad angle. The ball on the far hash mark. Soccer-style kickers tend to hook that ball, and they would far rather have it, if they have to choose a hash mark, on the left hash mark rather than the far side.
That's a good point, and visually you see his problem with the ball on the hash mark. When they line up, he's got to line drive it from right to left through, and sometimes put a little overhook on it. And of course the Chiefs will be applying the pressure. Now if it's good, there'll be still about a minute left for Kansas City. If he doesn't make it, well then it's just the Chiefs running out the clock. Perfect. And the Raiders lead 22-20. An 18-yard field goal. One minute exactly remaining for young Todd Blackledge and the Kansas City offense to get in field goal range. And they've got an excellent kicker, Nick Lowry. Although he's missed one today, he has long range.
Here's Barr putting it through, splitting it beautifully. Dead center, no question, right between the uprights. And interesting, Dick, that after accumulating literally thousands of hours of preparation by the members of both of these teams, that it would come down to the last few ticks on the clock to decide who's going to win this game. A few more opportunities now for this young Kansas City Chief team. They played so well today. They really have. They've acquitted themselves well against the champions, and it looked for a while as if they were going to be able to carry off what would have been a very exciting win for them, and certainly a very exciting upset.
For the Chiefs, their goal against Al Davis's Raiders is to get to at least the Raider 35-yard line. A 35-yard line would be a 52-yard field goal. Lowry has kicked them as long as 58. So that'll be their long-range goal to get to the 35. Stephon Page. And he's out of bounds. And no flag. The fans want a penalty, but no flag. It has been a game that has featured too many penalties. Each team will well more than 100 yards in penalties assessed.
We mentioned that this is a bad blood game. These two teams really do not like each other. That's a long-standing feud. Goes back to the days when Ben Davidson speared Lenny Dawson here in Kansas City, and the fans still remember that. A lot of these players probably just children then, but they've been told the story many times.
Some were children. That play was 13 years ago, 1971. At the 19, Blackledge with 52 seconds left and no timeouts. Mike Davis had a sure 6 points, but the veteran from Colorado said, "What in the world? How could I miss that?" He made his move, timed it perfectly.
Mike Davis very aggressive from his safety position. He does a lot of blitzing for this Raider team. He's not blitzing on that play, but he timed the move perfectly, as you indicated, Dick. Sweeping in behind the Otis Brown, getting his hands on that football and almost ending any hopes for a cheap comeback.
He gets it this time, Mike Davis. And finally sits on it at the 20-yard line, and it's academic now with 37 seconds left because Kansas City has no timeouts left.
Todd Blackledge had thrown the ball into coverage a number of times earlier in the game. The ball bounced around, was intercepted on one occasion, and again here as he throws twice in the direction of Mike Davis. Davis nearly gets the first one and comes back on the second one to put it away.
We want to thank our executive producer, Michael Weissman, coordinating producer, Ted Nathanson, who is also our director today, Larry Cirillo, our chord, Joe Costanza, featuring Don Wilsey, Dave Smith, Bill Wilsey, Rick Dean, all the men and women from Kansas City to bring what has been a very exciting NFL game. Two teams unbeaten coming in, and 2 points separating them at the moment. We'll get a final sit-down play by Plunkett. There it is, properly executed.
Well, there's the veteran Kenny consoling, I'm sure, the young rookie Todd Blackledge and telling him, look, you can't worry about that. That's going to happen to you. You learn from it. You come back, and next time you see the defender there, you don't throw that pass. But, Dick, let's climb down into the head of John Mackovic and his staff. They have to be extremely pleased with the way their young team acquitted themselves against the champion Raiders today. And in measuring up against the Raiders, I think there's some very positive signs for Mackovic and his new Chiefs.
Now, we started today with 3 members of the AFC West unbeaten, 2-0. Seattle lost at New England, and here in a battle of two teams that had not been defeated, the Los Angeles Raiders prevailed 22-20, and on that winning march, Plunkett was successful in maintaining possession on 2 key fourth-down plays, and then the long bomb to Barnwell to set up the field goal. So the story in Kansas City, an outstanding game with the win to the Super Bowl champions. Stay tuned for the Budweiser NFL Report.